Here we go. We're going live. We're going to do a live show. We are going to do a thing that is live. Let me test the sound to see if it's good. Oh, I screwed this up. All right. Can I hear myself? Here we go. We're going live. All right. We're good. We're good, Joan. We are rolling. We are rolling. Whoops. I don't want this up. What the heck do I want up here? Oh, yeah. Okay. We are live. Welcome to the live stream where we do it live. Let me shrink this down. God, I'm all screwed up tonight. There we go. And that there. Oh, we got to get the chat going. And someone's already in the chat. It's Clint Miller. Hey, Clint. How you doing tonight? Clint says, hi, Tony. Beautiful day in South Jersey, I bet. Oh, it was a beautiful day. Beautiful day. And Joan is already leaving. That makes it even a more beautiful live stream. Yes, it was an amazing day. I was riding around with the girlfriend with the top down. She has a convertible. It's very nice. It's really nice to have a convertible in the nice weather. Like, that's one of the major joys in life, is having access to it. My friend had a convertible for many years, but we didn't, he used it a lot, but I didn't get to ride in it all that much. But with the girlfriend who has the convertible, oh my God, it's just so great to drive around South Jersey in the nice weather. We went to the, you'll see in my list of videos, I went to the historic Burlington County Prison Museum, famous for its many ghosts. And that was nice. And then we, of course, went to Donkey Steaks. They have a little outlet there. Normally, Donkeys originated in Camden, and then they moved one. They have one in Marlton, and now they have one in Mount Holly, in the parking lot next to the Shin Cabin, where you can get a steak that was rated by Anthony Bourdain himself as the best cheesesteak he ever had. Clint Miller. I guess that makes Amber a convertible too because her top is down. Hey-o! Hey-o! Nice. Nice. But yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day. We were actually going to go to the Dr. James Still Center Museum, but it's only open the first and third Sundays of the month. It's not open very often. I thought this was the third Sunday. Turns out it was the fourth. It's a good thing I called. So then we ended up going to the prison museum, which I had never been to. I heard about for many years. So I was finally psyched to go and see the gallows and see. It's a tiny little place, a tiny little prison, but it was a fully functioning prison up until 1965. That's the amazing part about it. And you look at it and you just go, there just wasn't that many prisoners, I don't know how many people they could have fit in this thing. I'm going to guess 30, maybe. They really jam people in there. But I mean, that would have been pushing it. I think there wasn't that many cells, and there was a wing for women, but there was only, I think there were 4 cells in that wing. Now some of the cells were converted into restrooms and other, like closets and stuff, because believe me, they're small cells, and you see one, you see them all. But I don't think, I think there's maybe 30 cells, maybe. Maybe you could fit 2 people per cell, maybe bump it up to like 50 prisoners, but I don't think you could have held a lot of prisoners in that. And ain't no way you're getting out. Like, not out of the actual prison, like the actual building. Thing's made of rock. It's got walls like a foot thick. Maybe if you could have shimmied up the wall, you might have been able to escape, because if you did get outside, you'd be right in the middle of Mount Holly. But good luck getting that. I'm sure they had plenty of guards. But they did carry out executions there. So thus the gallows, which of course everybody wants to see. You can't walk on the gallows though. Yeah, I don't want anybody up there. But it's a fun time. So if you want to see a little bit of my 4-minute video, check that out. But we're not here to talk about Mount Holly today. No, no. This is, of course, Hollywoke Hot Take, the live stream, where me and Joan do it live. And we are going to talk about the things we normally talk about, the box office and the trades. But this week is a special tribute stream to Chuck Norris, who passed away. Well, I shouldn't say passed away. Chuck Norris decided to move to the next level, as they say. We'll be doing Chuck Norris memes, so I have those all lined up. Let's start with a good Chuck Norris meme. Chuck Norris hit 11 out of 10 targets with 9 bullets. And then, of course, Chuck Norris jokes. Chuck Norris doesn't wear a watch. He decides what time it is. So we'll be doing that throughout the thing. And we'll be going over Chuck's career. So we'll go through his IMDb listings and check out some of his earlier work, which I was a little surprised about. One of his earlier entries. It's kind of surprising. I never would have guessed him for that. But before that, let's get it out of the way. Let's look at the box office. And the number one movie in America is Project Hail Mary, which is no surprise. It's been getting great reviews. Ryan Gosling as an astronaut. This is made by the same, or written by the same guy who wrote The Martian with Matt Damon, which was pretty good. I enjoyed The Martian. Way better than Interstellar, I'll tell you that. Interstellar I hated. But The Martian was pretty good. So Project Hail Mary sort of takes it to the next level. It's a very similar story about a reluctant astronaut, but very intelligent. And then him working with an alien to save humanity. So 80.5 million. All right, so that's pretty good. As always, the numbers website isn't totally working properly, so we have to go to the Box Office Mojo to find out the worldwide gross. Worldwide gross is 140 million. So I believe the initial estimates were somewhere in the 100 million range for the domestic. They lowered that to about 77 million, so I guess this tracks. Man, 2 hours and 36 minutes, a little long. But worldwide, that's 140. That's pretty good for a movie that I assume probably cost at least 100 million, I would say. Clip Miller, my stepson watched Undertone. He thought it sucked. Oh, that's a shame. All right, let's, what is the budget for the movie Hail Mary? Project Hail Mary, I should have typed in. Let's see what the AI says. 248 million. Oof. After accounting for tax incentives from the UK and Canada, it's probably 200 million. Jesus. So that's a long way off making money. 140. It's got to get to 400 million. So it's at 140. It's doing well. So next week is probably a guaranteed 70 million. That puts it at 210. Still not enough. Next week, probably looking at, let's say, another 40. Puts it at like 250. Another week, probably another, 15. Puts it at 255. I don't know, man. If you add the week in between for 3 weeks on a movie like this, could be another 30, 40 mil. So, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to make its money. This thing's got to make $400 million to break even just for the production budget. And you're looking at, they advertise the hell out of this. Now, the formula would be another 100 million for advertising. I don't think they spent that kind of money. I don't think you can spend that kind of money on advertising. But it would have to be at least, I would say, 50 million. I mean, it's probably a worldwide thing. So I would think this thing has to make $500 million just to break even. I don't think it's going to make it. But you never know. I mean, next week could really surprise us. Clint Miller, Hail Mary is an Andy Weir book, isn't it? I really enjoyed The Martian. Yes, I didn't know that was his name, but he is definitely the same guy who did The Martian. Yeah, so I think it's a movie worth seeing, but I don't know how it's going to make its money back. Unless, of course, as I suspect, that Hollywood lies about their budgets all the time just to avoid paying the taxes. And again, you know, when it comes to things like the budget, even, you're looking at multiple divisions within a studio. So you might have a division, for instance, that runs the sound stages. And it's the same company, but it's renting to the other division. So, you know, I'm going to the Warner Brothers lot, let's say, and I work for Warner Brothers, and I'm saying, well, I'm going to use the sound stage. Oh, well, this is what it's going to cost you. And it's like set up as a separate company, but it's not a separate company. It's just like a separate division, but like money is exchanged, and in the exchange of money, they lose some money, but they save money overall, I would think, because of the creative taxes, the creative accounting, right? So it's like one company renting from another company, even though they're basically the same company, and then they're writing off, you know, one company's writing it off, the other company's reporting it as profit, but then there's other expenses that company has. So it's like a bunch of mini companies being, you know, chained together. So I don't know if but, you know, and nobody in the IRS is going to bother to check, I think. Number 2, though, is Hoppers. This was the number 1 movie last week. Looks like we're on a 3rd week for this. 18 million. I kind of didn't like the look of this thing, and it really did start for a Pixar movie. It's pretty much a pretty low amount. It's made 242 million, but I don't think that's enough either. I think we figured that out last week. Let's see. $242 million. Yeah, this thing's at 150 million, so you need 300 million to break even just on the budget, and we're not there. I don't think you're going to get there, but we'll see. Number 3. This is not an American movie at all. This is Durandar, The Revenge. Very interesting. Is that listed on the Box Office Mojo as well? Yeah, it is. Durandar. This is definitely a Bollywood thing. Jasrak Singh Rangi descends deeper into his alias as Hamaz Ali Mazari, rising through Karachi's criminal hierarchy to claim the feared title Shiri Balak, while balancing loyal betrayal and survival in a ruthless underworld. See, that's not a bad write-up, except that people in the United States don't understand what the hell that means. So I don't understand the stakes. I mean, I understand it is, you know, a Indian underworld movie, which is cool. The Indian underworld is kind of interesting. But, you know, you need to explain some of these words to an American audience anyway. Not to, obviously, an Indian one. They're like, ooh, I'm sure. I don't know what Shir-e-balak means. But these movies are often very cool because they're action. They do good action movies. They love doing crime dramas. So, but it's kind of amazing that a movie from a completely foreign country with a very sort of foreign title and foreign appeal is the number 3 movie in America. And this is March 22nd. So we're past St. Patty's Day. We're into spring. And, you know, this is what's number 3 in America. That shows you how poor American movies are doing. This never would have happened back in the 90s. No way. Not a chance. And not for nothing, the Indian cinema was pretty good back then, too. Maybe not as crazy as it is now, but they certainly didn't have the connections. But part of it is, I think, that the industry wants to appeal to a worldwide audience. So now, rather than offering up something new, they're competing against these movies. And they can't really compete against them. And you got to look at it this way. If you live in India and you are, the average Indian cinema goer, certainly you're going to watch a lot of these Indian movies. They're in your language. They're about things you know or whatever. But when you look at American movies, why do you even go see them? Well, for the same reason someone like me might go to see an Indian movie. Like, I want to see something different, and I want to see something very Indian. In their case, they want to see something that's very American. They don't want to see something that, like, I don't want to see an Indian movie that panders to me as an American. I don't want to see the Indians try to do a New Jersey mobster movie. That would be ridiculous. Right? I would look at it and go, what, are you kidding me? Maybe you would import all the actors and, pretend part of India was New Jersey, and you could shoot it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. They have the skill to do it. But even if they had spent a ridiculous sum of money to do it, number one, why bother? They have their own niche, and it's very lucrative. And number two, I would pick it out in a second, right? As a guy from New Jersey who loves crime movies, I'd look at it and go, oh, this is total pander nonsense. I don't want to see this. This is awful. And, for the few people who look to me for movies, they would say, oh, man, that movie's probably no good. So American cinema needs to stop going too broad in that respect. On the one hand, domestically, the storylines are too specific a lot of times. They're way too... They're overthought, they're overdeveloped by a wide margin, and they need to be just broader and simpler. But when you talk about the appeal, when they're designing we need a worldwide appeal, that's when they're going too broad. You can't appeal to an Indian audience, really. I mean, sure, you can poach some of their bigger celebrities and throw them in your movie, like, what's her name? The woman that's married to one of the Jonas brothers. I'm sure there's a lot of Indian fans who watch her films because, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of hers, and now she's making American films, and I want to see that. But even those films, if you see that if I saw, I don't know, if Mel Gibson started making movies in India, I would want to see that, right? I wouldn't want to see Mel make the same movies in India. I'd want to see Mel make the Indian movies, right? I would think. Maybe I would want to see one or two of his same movies, but the whole purpose would be to make something new. So I think the studios here really have just lost their voice. They've just diluted everything to the point, just trying to chase a dollar. They just have forgotten how to do anything useful. So a lot of times these movies are just bleh, which is why they go to books a lot of times. But then they change the book, so what's the point? Number 4 is Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. I'm kind of surprised they made a sequel to this movie. $9.1 million. So 11.9 worldwide. I guess this could have appeal worldwide because it is action. After surviving one deadly game, Grace and her sister Faith now must outrun 4 rival families competing for a powerful throne. Winner takes all. So it's really the same movie as the first one. It's basically the most dangerous game, and which it's been done a million times, but this one's done with women, and of course the women win because women just win at everything in movies now. Probably not the best idea in the world for a movie, But it does look very campy. So as a camp sort of borderline comedy, you can get away with it. Number 5, dropping from 2, is Reminders of Him. This is in its second week. Yeah, second week. Dropping 56%. Not great, but it was the number 1 movie, briefly. 8 million. It's a drama. Dropping from 4 to 6 is Scream 7. 4.3 million. Unfortunately, this is the highest grossing Scream movie yet. Which is awful, because now they have no reason not to do Scream 8, Scream 9, Scream 10. So, as long as they stick to the formula of reasonably hot chicks and no budget, or very little budget, I'll say, yeah, you can keep making money. I won't see them, but you can. Dropping from 5 to 7 is Goat, which was also the number 1 movie at one point. It's in its 38th day. 3.5 million. Still in a lot of theaters. Number 8 is Undertone, dropping from 3. This is the movie your stepson watched and said it sucked. That's a shame. It didn't look, the trailer didn't look horrific. This is in its second week. $15 million. I don't know. It's tough to make a movie about people who do a podcast or whatever. It's because, you know, part of the fun of listening to a podcast comes from the fun of listening to radio dramas. And, you know, and listening to radio in general, talk radio. Because you're kind of in your head listening to them as opposed to being visually stimulated. So when you try to turn a podcast into something visual, it's a real challenge because, like, there's not a lot of visual stuff going on with the podcast. But I did like the pitch in that it was more of an audio kind of horror movie. It'd probably be better as an audio drama, quite frankly, but because then you could imagine things. Dropping from 8 to 9 is Wuthering Heights, still in theaters. $475K. Avatar, Fire and Arse is at $208,000. It's in its 94th day. Jesus. Is this ever leaving theaters? Are you just going to dedicate a whole theater to Avatar? Underneath that, dropping from 6, The Bride. Is this the second week for The Bride? No, it looks like the third. $275,000. So The Bride going down in flames. It's made $23 million. It cost $90 million. And the rumor is it cost $65 million. They spent $65 million on advertising. Meaning there are $155 million into this, and they've only made $23 million back. And if you have that, which is the actual money they allegedly made, you're looking at 12-ish, say 12, let's round it up, 12 million. Minus 155, that leaves 133 million and change to go. Oofa. What a disaster. Maggie Gyllenhaal probably shouldn't be allowed behind a camera for a long time. After that is I Can Only Imagine 2, dropping from 11, $240K. Send Help, $235K. All these movies are kind of done. Epic Elvis Presley in concert. How this keeps... It's amazing. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Elvis. He was okay, I guess. I like a couple of songs, but guy like adores, doesn't he? Surat, 105K. That's that indie movie. Man, that's been in theaters 129 days. Zootopia is still hanging around at 117 days for 100K. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I might see this when it hits some sort of streaming. 72K. Pillion, the gay biker movie. I'll pass. $63,000. Did I say million before? I meant 72,000. New is Mark by Sophia. Premiering in 3 movie theaters for 46K. What the hell is that? Mark by Sophia. An intimate, unconventional portrait of Mark Jacobs, crafted by Sofia Coppola. Oh, let me stop you there. I'm out. To capture the genius and singular universe of the iconic American designer. I know this subject is probably pretty boring, but I can imagine Sofia Coppola could probably make it even more boring. So hard pass. Solo Mio, that Kevin James rom-com, 41K. Still shocked that made money. New Mirrors, number 3. What the hell is Mirrors, number 3? I don't know. Clicking on that. Premiering at 36K. After a car crash kills her boyfriend, piano student, Laura is taken in by Betty, who witnessed the accident. Living with Betty's family brings comfort, but Laura starts questioning their intentions as time passes. And you need a little more information in that one. So, overseas it did 604K, which is a little better. Smells like a foreign movie to me. Next up, is this the second week? Yes, it's slanted. $36,333. It's down 94%. Oofa. That, now look, it was only in 201 theaters, but that's a drop of 94%. Jesus. That's astronomically low. Of a drop, anyway. And last week, it made like 800K. So for a small movie, that wasn't and that's Bleecker Street. They usually make small movies. And they have the nerve to call this a comedy, drama, horror, sci-fi. It's just a mess is what it is, as far as I'm concerned. It looks racist as F to me. Well-deserved. A well-deserved slap in the face. Palestine 36. $36,000. That's pretty apropos. Did I look at this trailer? I think I did. In 1936, as Palestinian villages revolt against British colonial rule. Oh, how'd that go? Yusuf navigates between Jerusalem and his rural home amidst an escalating unrest and a pivotal moment for the British Empire. Did 1 million worldwide. I bet that was all in the UK. Where's all the left-leaning people to see this movie, I wonder? Next up is Marty Supreme, still in theaters, 25K. I think this movie's cooked. It seems like almost every Oscar nominee blew it. 179 worldwide. I don't think that was enough for Marty Supreme, was it? Let's see. The girlfriend tried to watch One Battle After Another. I think she got 5 minutes into it. 60 million and 65. So maybe this made money. What did I say? I already forgot. Oh yeah, so it did make money. It made a little bit of money. Maybe, depending on how much they spent on advertising. But yeah, the girlfriend tried to watch One Battle After Another, and I was like, I don't think you want to watch that. And she kind of like half watches it, and at some point looks up, and it's a scene where apparently, I didn't see the movie, Sean Penn has like a raging hard on through his pants or something, and she looks up just as that moment, and she's just like, I don't want to see that. Thought it was funny. Next up is Late Shift. There's a bunch of new movies opened. Late Shift. Florida, a dedicated nurse tirelessly serves an understaffed hospital ward. However, today her shift becomes a tense and urgent race against the clock. Again, that's not the worst synopsis, but tell me what the hell happened. Why is she having a race against the clock? It's already at 4 million. Sounds like another foreign thing, but it's only in 6 theaters here. Dead Lover is next. A lonely gravedigger who stinks of corpses finally meets her dream man, but their whirlwind affairs cut short when he tragically drowns at sea. Grief-stricken, she goes to morbid lengths to resurrect him through madcap experiments. That sounds like an Italian movie called Cemetery Man, except it was a male who was in love with the dead female. So I wonder if it's a remake. $13,500 in one theater. 2 prosecutors. In the USSR, in 1937, a newly appointed prosecutor discovers an undestroyed letter from a prisoner that reveals corruption in the secret police, the NKVD. His search for the truth becomes dangerous. Well, I can imagine they're a bunch of commies. So, biography, crime, drama, history, mystery, theater. That sounds cool. I don't know how could they make this? I mean, it like feels like we're at war with Russia over the Ukraine, and it's like still putting out Russian movies. We're still sending our movies to Russia. I don't know how that works. I really just don't get it. All right, and that's the last of the new movies. Then How to Make a Killing, which is in its like 4th week, $12,944. Natchez, $9,392, and The Moment, $6,484. A grand total of $138,413,255 total box office dollars. But more than half of that is Project Hail Mary, like a huge chunk of that. You take that out, the total is like 58 million. So that's no bueno. You take out that. You take out the first 4 movies, and what are you looking at here? Let's see. Be 98, 107, 115. Basically, you're looking at 25 million? 23 maybe? That's nuts. But this is the way movies are going. People aren't going to see movies. Or rather, the same people are going to see movies, typically, and there's just not enough of them to justify this business model anymore. They need to do something, but they're not doing it. They're not doing anything that I could see. And the main problem has been, continues to be, that the movies just suck. They just suck. Now, I want to see Project Hail Mary, maybe the Indian movie, maybe Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. But I got to be honest, the only one I'd probably go into the theaters, I was thinking about going to see Project Hail Mary in theaters this weekend. Only because, I want to get a jump on it so I could review it, and the review would be timely. But that's the only reason. For me and the girlfriend to see it, we can wait. We'll wait. When this thing's on Amazon for $19.99, it's a no-brainer. We can rent it, $10 each, and that's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly nice night out, and it's not out, right? We can sit home, we can have popcorn, we can watch a movie, we can pause it, we can go to the bathroom. I don't have to miss a moment. I can wind things back if I don't understand things. watch it again if it's that good. I mean, there's so many things. You got so many options watching it at home. Theater, it's just a mess. You got to do something about the theaters. You got to make it a night out, right? It's the only way. It's the only way. I say you have to just start giving away the popcorn. I think if you gave away the popcorn, it'd be like a bar. In bars, they give away. This was the strategy for many, many years, although they don't do it now. They would give away salty snacks. They would have it on the bar, and anybody could just reach over and have salty snacks. Why did they do that? Well, because you eat enough of those snacks, you're like, oh man, I need a drink, and now you have to pay. So you give them all the popcorn they want. Then ding them on the soda. Simple as. But they're getting you both ways. People just don't care, I guess. I guess they're fine to blow $80 in the theater. I just can't blow that kind of money anymore. No way. And I feel cheated even if I could. Even if I could afford it. I just went to a diner. Well, let me tell you this story. We went to a place. I almost did a video about it. I still might do one. But there was a diner near me. It was called the Westmont Diner. Well, a bunch of hipsters apparently rebranded the thing the Westmont, and we went there for breakfast today, figuring like, oh, we'll go to the Westmont and check it out. A lot of other people had the same idea. It was a big wait. They had a nice redesign. The interior's all modern. So we sit at a table. Well, not at a table. Like, we couldn't get a booth because it was so crowded. So they have a countertop. Like a countertop in a diner, except they redesigned it so you could sit patrons on both sides. So now me and the girlfriend are on the same side. And there's a pair of strangers on the other side of the table, and there's no divider, which is kind of awkward because I didn't want to talk to these people. So I just sort of turned to the girlfriend, and we're chatting away. And it's crowded, so our food takes a little longer. But we decided... we look at the menu, and the prices are pretty high, I gotta say. But it's a hipster redesign, or rebrand, as I would like to call it. So I figure, well, the food's probably good, right? This brand new restaurant, they're reopening. They pull out all the stops. They're going to give you a little extra just to say, so you leave the restaurant going, oh, man, I went to the Westmont. It was amazing. Well, I got a BLT. And they put arugula on it. And they mixed some dressing on it, which was supposed to be like mayo. But it was very uneven on the sandwich. The tomatoes were fine. The bacon was okay. But the bread was toasted, but I think it was toasted stale bread. Or they made the sandwich and they left it out too long. And by the time I got it, it was stale because it took forever for our food. And so we both had that, and we weren't too happy with the sandwich. Now, for the side, I ordered hash browns because I like hash browns, but they were cut super, super thin, and they were super dry. The girlfriend ordered grits, cheese on it, and like the top of it was okay, but if you dug down into the grits, they were like dry as a bone. So they weren't quite made right. But then the topper was, she ordered French onion soup. Now, she loves French onion soup, and I do too. But I normally don't order it because it's like a little too much. It's like too heavy. Well, it comes to the table, and it's in a giant bowl. And I thought, here we go. This is what I expected. And it was big, and the presentation was great. But it had no taste. And if you've ever had French onion soup, it's usually got a pretty damn strong taste. This onion soup tasted like nothing. And I never do this, but I sent it back, and we got our money back for the soup. And then, so I only paid for 2 drinks and 2 BLTs, and it was 26 and change. That to me is a lot of money for a couple of BLTs. It really is. A subpar BLT. For that kind of money, and then you had the tip, and it was like, no, it was 36 altogether. 36 and change. So really, with the tip, it was 43. For that kind of money, I could have gone to the supermarket, bought all the ingredients for a BLT, made an awesome BLT, and still had enough money to get a BLT at a cheap diner that would have been awesome. So it was, needless to say, incredibly disappointing. So the motto is, or the rule is, if you open a restaurant, the main thing has to be the food. Like if the food is good, you can forgive almost anything else, right? You could forgive like, oh, we waited a little long, but the food was amazing. Oh, I didn't like the inside of the place; it was kind of garish, but the food was really good. But if the food's bad, it doesn't matter how nice the place was. It doesn't matter how quickly you got in. It doesn't matter how nice the staff was. Like, I don't want to eat there ever again. Now, the staff was very nice, but they're going to have to do quite a song and dance to get me back into that place. But anyhow, with regard to movies, it's the same thing. It's really about the movie. It's not really about the food. The food would help. Cheapen up the food, or give us better food, or give us a better atmosphere. But really, that's all trappings. If the movies aren't good, there's just no reason to do this. So, if you want to help a dying industry, Hollywood, you gotta hire writers. You gotta hire writers. Because the writers are terrible. But with Project Hail Mary, this is why I think the movie's going to do well. I think it's mainly because you got a good writer and you had a director who respected the source material, I believe. All indications says that's true. But speaking of great movies, and let's get into Chuck Norris before we look at the trades. Chuck Norris had an amazing career, and he died this week unexpectedly. I think we were all kind of shocked that he died. The beginning of the week, he went into the hospital, and a lot of people had the same reaction I did, like, oh, that's a shame. He'll be fine, though. He's Chuck Norris. Yeah, he passed on. It's crazy. They haven't given away what exactly killed him. I don't know if he had been sick. He had been dyeing his hair, but he was an older guy. I mean, he was 86, and he was a movie star. He wanted to look virile, so I get that. But let's look at his career. The first thing on the IMDb list for Chuck Norris is The Wrecking Crew. Let's take a look at this. The Wrecking Crew. Oh, this is a Dean Martin movie? Oh, wow. Dean Martin is Matt Helm, so I guess he's one of the goons. So, yeah, this was a Dean Martin vehicle where I think he's a spy. I don't know if he sings. The second credit just blew me away. Apparently, he was in Room 222. Now, you're probably not old enough to remember this. Maybe Clint is. But Room 222 it was basically like a high school drama type show. And it was about the kids in Room 222 and their teachers. And they would all learn an important lesson and blah, blah, blah. I didn't really watch the show. I remember it being on. I remember seeing commercials for it. I guess I was just old enough to be aware of the reruns, I think, because it came out in 1970. I would have been 4, so I probably didn't see it when it aired. I probably saw like a rerun. But it got high praise back in its day. But apparently Chuck Norris was in an episode. That's crazy. I wonder if he was the teenager who smoked too much pot and went schizo. That's the kind of stuff that would be in that show. I don't know. Let's see. 1970, he would have been in his 30s. Maybe he was just a karate instructor or something. But then his third credit is The Way of the Dragon. And this is Bruce Lee. So this is probably put him on the map right here. Didn't take long. Action guys, it kind of doesn't take them long to get established. I think, because you know, they're action dudes, you know? What happened? Where the hell are... Okay. Can't click it like that. I gotta click a separate tab for the movie. So yeah, then 1972 he's in Way of the Dragon, then he takes off. Then he was a karate advisor in the Student Teachers. So I think he was typecast. Then he was in something, The Yellow-Faced Tiger, as the boss. Oh, there he is, right? Yeah, he was the star of that one. A Chinese-American cop. Whoop. All right, let me see that one again. The Yellow-Faced Tiger. A Chinese-American cop skilled in martial arts battles the most powerful criminal gang in San Francisco that is responsible for the death of his partner. So, is he supposed to be part Chinese? Slaughter in San Francisco. Warning, Chuck Norris may be hazardous to your health. Oh, that sounds like a meme right there. Let's get in another meme. Let's see. Chuck Norris doesn't dial the wrong number. You answered the wrong phone. And Chuck Norris can't turn left because he's always right. All right. But, yeah, I don't remember that movie at all. Then Breaker. That sounds like a CB movie. That's 1977. Back in the late 70s. Yeah, it's a trucker movie. Don't muck around with an 18-wheeler trucker. Follows a truck driver in search for his brother who's disappeared in a town run by a corrupt judge. That is so typical of a 1977 movie. So, for those of you who aren't old enough to know, in the late 70s, we had this thing called CB radio, which is still around, I guess. I guess people still do CB radio. But truckers, for some insane reason, the trend became CB radio, talking on a CB radio, and being a trucker, and talking to truckers. I had like a toy CB radio when I was a kid, and you could tune it, and you could actually talk to people who were driving their trucks sometimes. And that was like a thing in movies. So they made all these movies about truckers. They made Convoy. They had a TV show, and I think that was in 1980, called BJ and the Bear, about a trucker who had a monkey, and that was BJ, and he was the bear. And just all these... Smoking the Bandit was a trucker movie. This was a trucker movie. There was a bunch of other forgettable movies about truckers. And that was always the thing. It was about a trucker just trying to live his life, but some local corrupt town sheriff would be after him, and he would be carrying some load that had to be delivered or whatever. And so somehow that was a trend. And it was a trend for about, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 years. And then finally it died. That was like after disco. It was like disco, and then like truckers. I mean, isn't it insane when you think about truckers? Like, what are truckers? They're fat guys who drive a truck and they talk on the radio. Like, that became the hottest thing to do. That became the cool thing. Like, how many people became truckers thinking it would be cool back in the 70s? Oh, man, I ought to be a trucker. It sounds cool as hell. And then they become a trucker, and it's like, this isn't that cool. Here's one of his big movies. Good Guys Wear Black. I remember that. Man, he looks so much younger there. An ex-U.S. Army commando must find a reason why his comrades from his unit are being systematically murdered before he is next. That's another one that was very typical of the era. A Force of One. I remember that movie too. We're getting into the era where I really was watching movies. Dark comedy, they list that under. When the detectives of an undercover police unit are being mysteriously killed by a martial artist, a professional kickboxer is hired to assist them. Gee, I wonder what Chuck Norris plays in that movie. The Octagon. I remember this movie too. I remember seeing this ad in the newspaper. A martial artist must defeat a plan by ninjas to create a worldwide training camp for terrorists. Dark comedy. It still has dark comedy on it. Well, it did make me laugh. An eye for an eye. Damn, I remember all these titles. A San Francisco PD undercover narcotics cop aims to avenge his partner's death and destroy a drug smuggling ring operated by the Chinese triads. Yeah, there's another trend here too. This would have been mid to late 70s. Movies or TV shows that took place in San Francisco. And they were all crime and cop shows. So they had a TV show starring Michael Douglas, and I think his co-star was Carl Malden, I want to say. It was called The Streets of San Francisco, and they were cops. Oh, Jesse is here. Yo, dudes, yo. And yeah, they would just they would fight crime in San Francisco. Dirty Harry he was San Francisco based. It was like every criminal show and movie in a certain era. Maybe it got into the 80s a little bit. It took place in San Francisco. So even back then, even 50 years ago, San Francisco was seen as a crime-ridden hellhole that needed cleaning up by Republicans. They got everything right except pooping on the streets. Silent Rage. I remember this movie too. We're going through all the Chuck Norris movies. Here he is wearing a cowboy hat. A sheriff tries to stop the killing spree of a silent, maniacal murderer who, as the result of a secret genetic experimentation by unethical scientists, has the ability to self-heal. Damn, that's crazy. That's like sci-fi stuff. Okay, I'm in. I might have to see that one. Forced Vengeance. All these movies have about a 5.5 to 6.5 rating, by the way. I remember that movie poster very well. A casino security guard is forced into violence from when the Hong Kong mob threatens his friends. I don't think that's grammatically correct, but I will let it pass since it is Chuck Norris. And as we say about Chuck Norris, when Chuck Norris attends a feminist rally, he comes back with his shirt ironed and a sandwich. Chuck Norris doesn't read books. He stares them down until he gets the information he wants. So there you go. What else we got? We've got Lone Wolf McCain. Now, this was one of his bigger movies, I think. After helping the local police with some horse thieves, a Texas Ranger aims at a drug lord with arms trade as well. They're all interested in the same woman. They're both in the martial arts. Oh, David Carradine's in that one. Okay. So, this time it's personal. This was 83. Yeah, this was huge. This was a huge movie for him, if I remember correctly. Missing in Action. Damn, I remember all these. This must have been my era. Colonel Braddock launches a mission deep inside the jungles of Vietnam to find a POW camp that he escaped from and free the Americans still held captive there. Yeah, if we didn't win in reality, we could win in the movies. So there was a lot of Vietnam movies in the 80s. A lot of them. Missing in Action 2. The beginning. I guess this is how he escapes the prequel to the first Missing in Action, set in the early 1980s. It shows the capture of Colonel Braddock during the Vietnam War in the 1970s and his captivity with the other Americans in the brutal prison camp and his plans to escape. Interesting. So there's a prequel. Not many prequels. And now I wonder if you watch that out of order, would it make sense? Here's another movie. This was like, this had to be peak Chuck Norris, the mid-'80s. Code of Silence. A Chicago cop is caught in the middle of a gang war while his own comrades shun him because he wants to take down an irresponsible cop. Oh, this dude, he was always a heavy. I don't know his name. And of course, Invasion USA. Yeah, he's got 2 machine guns in the picture. One-man army comes to the rescue when the United States are invaded by communists. Get me Chuck Norris on the phone. Why, Mr. President? We've just been invaded by communists. And then Chuck shaves the USA. Delta Force. Now this I think kind of begins the downslide of Chuck Norris, because like I think Invasion USA was probably peak, but I remember Delta Force not getting that great reviews. Maybe it was because Lee Marvin was in it and he was kind of old by that time. After a plane is hijacked by terrorists, the Delta Force is sent in to resolve the crisis. Then Chuck Norris, Karate Commandos. I think this was a cartoon. Yeah, this might have been right before. There were a bunch of cartoons in the 80s that I don't know if they should have shown them to kids, like the Rambo cartoon. Maybe this was one of them. Where they had too much violence and then they made some special rules just to like roll back the violence in cartoons. Here's Firewalker. I don't remember this one. Oh my God. Well, this explains a lot. Lou Gossett Jr. is in it. Lou Gossett Jr. seems like a nice guy, but he's like the kiss of death for movies, I think. You know, other than Officer and a Gentleman, which he's great in, seems like every other movie, oh my God, it would just be a disaster. Braddock, Missing in Action 3. When's this one take place? Afterwards? Braddock mounts a one-man assault to free his wife and son, who are still being held in the Vietnam prison camp. Everybody's still being held in that damn camp. Braddock, take care of it. Hero and the Terror. I don't remember this one at all. Danny was lucky 3 years ago at the arrest of Terror, a serial killer of a young woman. Danny's about to be a dad when the Terror escapes prison and is back to killing. Will Danny get lucky this time? Yes, would be my answer to that. And then you got Delta Force 2, the Colombian Connection. When DEA agents are taken captive by a ruthless South American kingpin, the Delta Force is reunited to rescue them in the sequel to the 1986 film. This was 1990. Now by this time, Chuck is 50. But he looks great. But, you know, he's getting up there. 50 is kind of the sweet spot for like a movie star. You're probably still young enough to look good if you've been hitting the weights. But you're kind of old enough that you have a bit of a resume to bring in the fans, I would think. Sidekicks. Was this a comedy? I think it was. Yeah. A bullied teen who fantasizes about being Chuck Norris's sidekick trains in martial arts to fulfill his dream. I saw a clip of this the other day. It looked okay. Wind in the Wire, a TV movie. I don't remember this one at all. See, this is where I don't remember this. In this comedy drama, country singer Randy Travis befriends a runaway orphan and also gets to live his longtime dream of landing a role in a movie about an untamed West. Well, that's weird. weird movie for Chuck Norris to be in. Doesn't sound like things are going great for his career at this point. Here's Hellbound. Two Chicago cops, Chuck Norris and Calvin Levels, investigate a murder until they encounter an ancient demon. This kind of follows the arc of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Late in his career, he started getting these kinds of weird movies where he'd be fighting supernatural creatures. Here's Walker, Texas Ranger 3, Deadly Reunion. Is this a movie or is this the TV show? Has to be the TV show, right? I guess they did a movie? By then, I guess he was doing this show. An experienced members of Texas Rangers, a special police unit, arrives to complete a pistol shooting tournament, but so does a hitman who's planning to assassinate a U.S. senator who will be among the spectators. Wow, what a great place he picked to kill the senator. Where can I kill him? Should I kill him at the puppy farm? Should I kill him at the amusement park? Nah, I'm going to kill him at the shooting range where everybody's armed to the teeth. I think I'll kill him there. So, where's the TV roles? I guess they're up here. Here's Top Dog. Does he play a dog? Oh no, he's paired up with a dog. With his cop companion shot and killed by terrorists, Reno the dog pairs up with a tough cop, Jake, in a thwarting a criminal organization. Oof. Yeah, that sounds like a very Hollywood concept. Very Turner and Hooch. Forest Warrior. Oh, they were talking about this on the Razor Force stream. He knows the catalog very well, of course. This looks like a very strange movie. A shape-shifting mountain man and a group of children team up to protect an enchanted forest from evil lumberjacks. Well, sometimes you gotta pay the bills. What a pitch. What a pitch. It got his lowest rating, 3.7, it looks like. Logan's War, Bound by Honor. Well, this appears to be more on brand. An Army Ranger infiltrates a mob family by posing as a hitman. In conjunction with his uncle, they are plotting revenge against the killers who murdered his entire family when he was young. Okay. Son of Thunder, a TV series, or Sons of Thunder. After his partner's murder, Dallas cop Carlos Sandoval quits to start a PI firm with martial arts expert Trent Malloy. They solve cases with the help of Trent's brother Tommy and former cop Butch McMahon. I wonder what role Chuck Norris plays in this lineup. Could be any one of them. And then another TV series. This is his TV career now. Martial Law. A Shanghai cop who is a master of martial arts fights crime in Los Angeles Police Department. Okay. Guess was he on one episode? Yeah, he's just on one episode. That was in 2000. The President's Man. A U.S. president's highly classified secret agent must find a fearless replacement to take over his extremely dangerous military missions. That's kind of weird. So he has to find his replacement. Weird. Oh, here we go. Walker, Texas Ranger. Now, this was his big hit. 93 to 2001's 196 episodes. Cordell Walker and his partner James Trevette are Texas Rangers who make it their business to battle crime in Dallas and all through the state of Texas. That's when he walked through Texas. Let's get in a meme. Chuck Norris already caught all the Pokemons with his Nokia 3310. I don't get that one, so I'm going to read another one. When Chuck Norris was born, he drove his mom home. Okay, that's a pretty good one. And then Chuck Norris doesn't tip the waiter tips him. I don't like that one. Let's get another one. Chuck Norris, tears cure cancer. Too bad he has never cried. That's all right, I guess. Chuck Norris does not own a stove or oven or microwave because revenge is a dish best served cold. Okay, that one I'll accept. JC is here. Hi, hi, hi. You're in the middle of the Chuck Norris tribute. We just talked about Walker, Texas Ranger. Next up, The President's Man, Line in the Sand. Oh, they did a sequel to that TV movie? Okay. A counterterrorism specialist is assigned by the president to track down a terrorist who is suspected of planning to set off a nuclear device in the USA. Okay. That seems on brand. Bells of Innocence. Oh, no, this is the lowest rated Chuck Norris thing. 2.9 on the IMDb. Chuck Norris ventures into the West to stop a horde of ghosts in their deadly path. Why? Why did they pick Chuck Norris? JC, just getting home from a comic convention. Sold all the copies of Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre. Nice job. Nice job. JC also says, RIP Sam Keith as well. Yeah, that was a shame. Sam Keith, the creator of the Max, passed on. A lot of people died this week. A lot of people. Besides Chuck Norris, besides Sam Keith, Mean Joe Green also died. If you remember him, he's the guy in the commercial. He was a football player, but he was in the commercial where the kid gives Joe a Coke, and he drinks it, and it quenches his thirst, so he gives the kid his jersey. And so that was his claim to fame. Some other people died this week, too. I can't remember now, but those were the biggest ones, I think. Yeah, Sam Keith. That was another one that kind of took everybody by surprise because he wasn't that old. Oh, Xander from Buffy died. I don't know if you ever watched Buffy. I didn't really watch Buffy. I watched an odd episode, but I remember Xander. He was kind of like the funny one in Buffy. He was like the Chandler on Buffy. He also recently, I think, ripped Sarah Michelle Gellar about the show or something she said. And then, poof, he was gone. So a lot of people going out this week. Gosh, I know there were more. Next up, Yes Dear, a TV series. Looks like he did one episode. Oh, why am I having trouble with this? Let's move this up. Okay. Yes Dear. What the hell was Yes Dear? A comedy about two young couples and their outrageously contrasting views on parenting. I don't remember that show at all. Dodgeball, a true underdog story. Yes, I remember the Dodgeball. Chuck Norris made a cameo in that. JC, did they say what Xander died of? I don't think they said yet, but we might see it in the trades. Sam Keith was very sick, apparently. Oh, that's a shame. He didn't. I don't think he was that old, right? He was. I know Xander was like 54. I think Sam Keith was in his 60s though. So, a lot of comic guys, they spend too much time sitting around. You got to get up and walk around. You gotta. Yeah, you can't be too sedate. But I don't know what he died of. I mean, he might have had cancer or something like that. Who knows? But you look at Chuck Norris. I mean, he was 86. He had, like a few months ago, he had climbed a peak in California, like a famous peak, in his 80s. So, JC, in his 60s, yeah. That's a shame. Walker, Texas Ranger, Trial by Fire. Okay, so here's a movie they did with the Texas Ranger character. He just had like a huge catalog. The Cutter. I don't remember this at all. Yeah, you can see he's dyeing his hair at this point. He looks older. A detective comes to the aid of an aged diamond cutter. I'm not sure why. The Expendables 2. They waited until 2 to put Chuck Norris in? Or did he wait to be in the movie? So, yeah. Chuck Norris was... I guess that was peak Expendables. Was 2, right? Because, like, they did the first one. They had a bunch of names in the first one. But then the second one, they really beefed up the cameos. I don't think they had as many in as a third one, but kind of petered out. But they did... how many did they do? 4? I think they did 4. Now, look at this. I've never seen this before. They have his commercials here. They have, like, every commercial he did. Right Guard commercial. I vaguely remember that, but I guess he did a bunch of bank commercials. And then he was in the Goldbergs? Oh, he did a voice. Okay. The Goldbergs was a pretty good show, I gotta say. Until they kicked off Jeff Garlin. He got Me Too'd for some reason. I'm not sure why. United Healthcare commercial, Toyota Tacoma commercial, Dodge Ram commercial. It's weird. I've never seen these listed on IMDb site, but Hawaii Five-0 made an appearance in that. That's the new one. That's not the original one was great. It was so intense for no reason. I don't watch the new one. World of Tanks. He was in the World of Tanks. All right. Guess that sounds like a video game. I'm pretty sure it is. Okay. No, really no information there. Now he was in Crime Boss Rockay City. He did a sheriff, the voice of a sheriff, which it's called Sheriff Norris, so I assume it was based on him. And then he did something called Agent Recon. What the hell is this? Alistair, the captain of a covert Earth security force, calls in superpowered rookie Jim to join a mission led by Colonel Green and his skilled Marines to track down a mysterious energy disturbance at the base of New Mexico. That sounds way too convoluted to be a good movie. I mean, you got superpowers, you got aliens, I guess. I'm guessing. And then you got Chuck Norris and machine. Like, you don't need all that. You just don't need all that, I would say. Let me close some of these tabs real quick. Got too many open. All right. Close that one, too. And then he has one upcoming thing, Zombie Plane. What a way to end your career. Apparently, his last movie is going to be Zombie Plane. Vanilla Ice, Sophia Monk battle a zombie outbreak on a Sydney to Los Angeles flight before the Air Force shoots the plane down. Okay. And it looks like, yeah, there he is right there. So I assume he doesn't die because he's Chuck Norris. Vanilla Ice appears to be the star, though. Yeah, that's a shame. What a way to go out. Zombie Plane. I will see Zombie Plane, though. I love zombie movies. So I just hope Chuck... And he's sort of like, at this point, now is just a caricature, right? He's always got a cowboy hat. He always looks like Walker, Texas Ranger. But it is a comedy, I assume, so... I don't know, man. Vanilla Ice is your lead? I mean, maybe. Let's see. Well, he's in all the promotional stills. They got hot chicks in it. Here's Chuck Norris. Vanilla Ice. I mean, maybe it's good. Maybe it's watchable, for a B movie. So, I would say it. All right. And that's it for Chuck Norris. and his amazing career. Seems like there should be more, doesn't it? You know, he had like, when you look at it, he had like 10, like about 10 to a dozen movies that were kind of all a version of Mission in Action or Good Guys Wear Black or whatever. Kind of all the same movie. Like, it's almost as if he could have made like twice as many of those movies and it'd be kind of the same record. You know what I mean? But I guess they were big at the time. I don't know. I remember these movies constantly coming out. I don't remember his being the top one because me and my friends would always see Arnold. Maybe we'd see a Stallone movie, depending. Bruce Willis movie, maybe. Like, he was maybe fourth in line for us. I think because his movies probably didn't get the kind of press the other guys did. Like, he was always in the mix, but he would always be like the third choice, and we'd end up seeing something else. But, I mean, I kind of liked him as a person. He was always nice and seemingly in interviews and stuff. He didn't seem like one of those, you know, guys who were getting too big for his britches kind of celebrities. So, R.I.P. Chuck Norris. R.I.P. All right, now let's check into the trades. See what else is going on in Hollywood, because Hollywood doesn't stop when you die. It just doesn't. It just continues to go on and suck. So here's Variety talking about Project Hail Mary, scores biggest debut of the year. Well, it's only March, but sure. Let's see. Oh my God, here's another death. Carrie Ann Fleming, iZombie, I remember that, and Supernatural actress, dies at 51. Canadian actress known for her roles in horror production, died February 26 in Sydney, British Columbia. How did she die? Doesn't really say. Oh, no, there it is. Breast cancer and complications. Look, I'm going to say this for the umpteenth time, that I think a certain medical procedures made the potential for outcomes like that much worse. And I'm really worried about a lot of people I know who took it. But it seems like a lot of people are just getting the big C. It just seems like too many to me, but maybe it's just the constant coverage I'm immersed in. Princess Diana and Winston Churchill brought back to life with Jurassic Park technology in edgy SNL UK Last Supper sketch. So in case you haven't heard, we exported SNL to the UK. And once again, I'm so sorry to the people of the UK that happened to you. Maybe it'll be over soon. Don't watch it, and it'll be over soon. But yeah, so now they're doing Saturday Night Live in London. So this is like late. You want to talk about late stage SNL? I mean, we're talking a show that's over 50 years old in the United States, and they just figured, oh, you know what? We could export this to England. Yeah, the show sucks here now. We might as well export it. Let's get some money. So, yeah, they're doing SNL in the UK now. Maybe it's better there. I mean, how could it be worse? Clint Miller, can you show the cover of the Pineys book 20? Not yet. I don't have it yet. I do not have it yet. Closest I got, and I don't have it ready. I'd have to find it in my email. I have a layout of it, but soon, soon, better next weekend. I hope to be showing it to you next weekend. Yeah, he's working on it. He's working on it. I don't like to bug him too much. I bugged him like last week. I didn't bug him this week. He lives in Malaysia. Vig Starmax, my cover artist. So he had a big holiday at the beginning of March. Got a little behind. So, but I think he's on point. I'm finishing up the editing. I've got all the way up to chapter 9 edited. So I got 4 more chapters to go. And then that's all ready to go. And I got to start working on the back cover and stuff like that. Clint Miller, SNL. The last good episode I saw was King Tut with Steve Martin. Ooh, that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. I remember watching it back in the 80s, and even with the some of the original cast, I would go, that wasn't a very good sketch. Now, I mean, compared to that, I mean, even their worst sketch back in the early 80s is like top notch compared to some of the stuff they plop out now. But again, it was a different time. I mean, 70s and 80s, man, when that thing hit, it hit like a bomb. And it was different because there just wasn't anything like it on television. You couldn't get that kind of crazy comedy anywhere. So it really was a shock to the system. Now, of course, you can turn on YouTube and find all kinds of crazy college students doing sketch comedy. And, all kinds of crazy stuff. I saw one. The last really funny one I saw on YouTube was a group of guys did this sketch. The premise was Luigi Mangione committed his assassination on behalf of the mafia because his name sounds Italian. So the sketch was the guys taking the call after Luigi had botched the hit and got caught, and then just going through the details, and it was pretty funny. Clint Miller, Laugh-In was revolutionary in the 60s. Yeah. But even that show was still more of a variety show. Like, it was still kind of like, it was a sketch show, but it was very friendly and like mostly family friendly. But like, SNL had, like, the first episode's wild. It has George Carlin in it. It's got puppets. Like, some of the sketches are just, let's check in with the puppets. So they did some wild stuff. And then they did films. Like, one of the early films is a bit called, Hey, New York, Show Us Your Guns. And it's just somebody driving around New York, and they're saying, just seeing some locals on the street, Hey, New Yorkers, show us your guns. And then everybody just pulls out a gun and goes and waves with it. Because it was the 70s and there was so much crime in New York, as the implication being everybody had a gun. And so it was funny because, like, you would just see these normal New Yorkers going about their business, and then somebody yelling out of a car or something, and they'd just be like, oh, yeah, here's my gun. Which they weren't supposed to have because, it's New York and they had all these strict gun laws, but everybody has a gun. So, yeah, it was, like, crazy. And I remember watching it. I was like, I don't know, it was like, it came on in 75. I think I watched one of the first or second episodes, and I was like 9 or 10, and I was over one of my uncle's house while my folks were having some sort of party, and they were all eating dinner, and or having like a late night thing where they're all playing cards or something, and the kids would just be off sleeping or watching TV. I'd be like the last man standing because I was kind of the oldest of the cousins. So I'd be flipping around all by myself, just flipping on the TV. I should not have been watching Saturday Night Live at 9 or 10. In that era, it would have been like, oh my God, what the hell are you watching? But they didn't know. And I'd watch Saturday Night Live, and I laughed my ass off at some of those sketches. Some of them I didn't understand at the time, but man, they were good. They were just so good. I couldn't believe how good it was. Because I watched TV, but, even back then, there wasn't really anything good on. It was all cop shows and stuff. But that show was like wild to me. Absolutely wild. And now, like, now it's like, it's not funny. It's like they try to be wild. They're cringe trying to be wild, but they're like the comedy, the craft of comedy's just gone. It's just really gone from it, in my view. You know, they don't craft anything. They don't take any real risk. It's all safe stuff. So that's why they bash Trump nonstop. Although I hear they backed off of that, but Barry Keoghan says the online abuse of how I look was so bad he no longer wants to go outside. It's becoming a problem. Oh, suck it up. Seriously? Look, if you're an actor and you don't like the criticism online, there's a real simple solution. Don't read it. I'll tell this story again. My friend drew Batman, and they told him, don't read the comments about your artwork online. And he asked them why. What's the big deal? They said, we've had many artists crack under the pressure of reading the comments online about their artwork. That gets into their head and they can't function anymore. And my friend was like super confident. He did not usually... I laughed too when he told me the story, but it got into his head. It messed him up a little bit. And we told him, you got to stop looking at the comments. So that's the main thing. I don't give a crap about the comments online. I actively ban people from YouTube if they criticize me too much. You know, if it's not constructive, it's useless. So there's no sense listening to it. And most people online who do that, there was just a study that dropped, I think. Most political commentary is done by people with psychopathic tendencies because they just get caught up in it and they just like to light the internet on fire, essentially. Jesse, SNL for you was what Adult Swim was for me in the Cartoon Network. I used to be up early around 4 a.m. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z and Samurai Jack. I loved Adult Swim when I watched it. For me, the peak was the Mike Tyson mysteries. God, that show was funny. And I also liked Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But yeah. You got to do something. You got to do something that's both new, but it also has to be good. You know, it can't just be new. It has to be good as well. So the problem is, if it's new, if it's really new, a lot of people won't get it. They just don't get it, especially in TV and movies. If it's super new, they just look at it and they go, well, what is this? I never heard of this. But if you pitch them the same old crap, they're like, oh, I've heard of that. Yeah, that's a good idea. But if you pitch them something really new, like something that's never been done before, even if it's good, they look at it and they go, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this will be good. And that's the problem when you have money people in charge. Because they don't understand it, because they can't see the potential, the money potential, they won't greenlight it. And that's why you get the same crap on TV. So if something's, like they're talking about The Bachelorette, that big old scandal. Bachelorette is in its, 30th season now. Some ridiculous amount of time The Bachelorette's been on TV. I didn't even know it was that old. Apparently it's been on since the 90s. It's in its 30th season or 33rd or something. It's nuts. But The Bachelorette is insanely popular. So if you go to a TV exec and you pitch, I want to do The Bachelorette, except, I don't know, that it's for comic geeks and they're all dressed in crazy anime costumes. They'll listen to that before you pitch them anything completely new. Something that's going to change the face of television. Oh, they don't want that. They don't get it. They won't understand how it can make them money. And it is a risk, because sometimes you put something really new on TV or in the movies or whatever, people just don't get it either, and it just doesn't take off. It takes a while for something to really hit. Jesse, I wish Smiling Friends was around. Yes, I love that show. In my younger years on Cartoon Network, Adult Swim just kind of hits that depressing adult shows that suck, but Smiling Friends was a gem. It really was. I watched the entire run of Smiling Friends, and every episode was great. And I don't know how they could let that show go, because it looked cheap as hell to make. It had some great, animation bits where they mixed different kinds of animation, which wasn't even part of the show. They used to do that kind of stuff, and then you'd be like, oh, who cares? But in that show, it was just, okay, this is just a different character. We're just going to animate him weird. Yeah, it's a shame. The guys who made the show seem to write it off as, oh, we don't have enough ideas, but I don't know, man. I feel like they got canceled and that was their story, I don't know. I don't know why you would, if they offered you a fourth season, why you wouldn't do it if they did. I don't know if they did. But hopefully they get a different show. Yeah, they could start over. They did kind of paint themselves into a corner with Smiling Friends. They had done every single character. Like, they did a show about every single character. So they kind of had everybody, laid out. So the only thing left to do was maybe one final... I wish they had done one final episode of Smiling Friends. Jesse, I didn't like the Mole Man episode that just seems like boring adult humor of overly sexual nonsense. It was a little weird because Mole Man was very intense. And yeah, it was a bit over the top. I don't know. I liked it. But I just wish they'd do like one, like maybe 2-hour or 90-minute Smiling Friends movie just to like... But they probably won't do it. I don't think so. You know what would be fun would be a Smiling Friends video game. The Aqua Teen Hunger Force video game, golf game, is amazing. I played that. It was really fun. You know what they need to do for Adult Swim, which would also be great? A Adult Swim video game with like all the characters from like, most of their shows would be kind of cool. Jesse, I understand them ending the show as someone joked they don't want to be like Rick and Morty, and I think they said they were 2 more episodes to release. Oh, they do have 2 more episodes. Cool. So maybe they did end it. Yeah, Rick and Morty to me, though, is a special case. I feel like you can't do the show without Justin Roiland, regardless of whether or not you think he's guilty. I mean, he kind of sounds guilty of something. Don't get me wrong. But legally, he wasn't convicted of anything. Maybe that's because they backed off once he capitulated to their demands. But seems to me that, I don't know. I really don't like Rick and Morty now. Like, I watched some clips and some of the newer stuff. It doesn't hit the same at all. And, the first couple of seasons are amazing. And then they get into this weird, I think, mode where they're trying to subvert your expectations to the point of ad infinitum. Like, they got to a point where they were going so deep into the lore. I was like, stop. You know, I just want an entertaining show. Like, this is too much. You're going in way too deep. You Jesse, wait, what happened? Well, I mean, Justin Roiland got into some trouble, I'll say. Seemingly because, I mean, I'm sure JEC probably has the 411 on this better than I do, but because I know we talked about it. But he got into trouble sending messages online to, I think she was underage, but I don't remember all the details. So, but he never got prosecuted. I don't even think he got sued, but I think some of his emails and texts came to light, and it did make him look good. And there was a lot of accusations. I don't know if they pinned him down on anything. I don't think they did. Jesse, oh damn. Well, I don't know if he's guilty of anything. I mean, maybe they're not his texts. I mean, I don't know, because that was during the Me Too era, and they went after a lot of people, and some people, you know, like I always talk about Chris Noth. Chris Noth was accused, I think, by an ex-girlfriend of being hit, that he hit her, and he had been accused before, but again, he wasn't arrested. There wasn't a lawsuit or anything like that. So when that happened, he was a actor who was on Sex and the City. They killed off his character. But, you know, I don't know. I think there may have been an internal investigation by the studio, but I don't even know what that's worth. And that kind of doesn't even seem fair. But Justin Roiland got pinned at the peak of his career, right? He had Rick and Morty, Solar Opposites. He had a brand new video game dropping. And I think he had one other thing. And they just took him off of everything. Now, I understand if there's a scandal, you got to do something, right? JC. I can't remember the details. I think everyone else on the show wanted him gone, and he was going wild chasing these girls. I mean, that sounds like, you know, a guy where, you know, his fame has gone to his head a bit, right? And on one hand, he was famous. On the other hand, fame kind of isolates you. So it's not like you can walk in a bar and necessarily say, hey, I'm Justin Roiland, I do Rick and Morty, have sex with me. Although he probably could have. I mean, Rick and Morty was pretty big. But, you know, there are all sorts of people, if they hear you're a guy like that, they'll want to be, you know, near enough to you to accuse you of something. So you have to be really careful. But then again, that isolates you. So then, you know, where are you going to get your girl? You know, especially if you're a young guy, you got all this money, and you're thinking to yourself, my God, I can't get laid. But, you know, I mean, this is the tiniest violin for that problem. But you're probably right. I mean, there's some of the vibe coming out of that incident was that some people suggested that they had such a problem with him on the show, working with Justin Roiland on the show, that they just, you know, they may have taken this opportunity of the appearance of impropriety to get rid of him, right? Because you're talking about a lot of money. But then, on the other side, I have not heard that he's broke or that he didn't still get his money. Like, he could still be getting the royalties of all these things. I think Solar Opposites still on the air. I think, you know, Rick and Morty's certainly still on the air. The video game did launch. I think they just replaced them and everything, which again just doesn't sit well with me. You know, either just end the show or, you know, do something else. The idea that a bunch of nobodies who didn't create the biggest hit in cartoon history for a while, or at least in that era, that they're just, you know, they're just going to hire some guys to take his place. Yeah, that doesn't really work. Doesn't really work for me. But it's fame is a fickle mistress. What are you going to do? It messes with your head, I hear. I don't know. I'm not that famous. I can tell you that, though, if I got that famous back when I was his age, it probably would have messed me up. I don't think I could have handled it. No way. So I can kind of understand how it could just boil your brain, and you just think, oh my God, I'm so famous, I can do anything I want. Who's going to stop me? And then, you know, you cross a line, and then everybody knows. But what What's in the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special? Surprise guest, a new Miley Cyrus song, and more. I don't care. Who cares? There's a bunch of articles about SNL in the UK, of course. Here is Sarah Michelle Gellar remembers Buffy co-star Nicholas Brendan. That's Xander. I know you are at peace. Here's Sam Keith, the Max and Sandman comic book artist, dies at 63. So 63 he was. It's a shame. Trump reposts SNL UK sketch in which Keir Starmer breaks up with U.S. president over voice note. Huh. So maybe the UK... I mean, if Trump thought it was funny, maybe it was okay. Might have to check that out. PBS, The Forsytes, puts a glamorous new spin on the beloved family drama. I don't really care. Jason Momoa flees Oahu, North Shore, amidst extreme flooding. We were safe for now, but there's lots of people who weren't. I don't even know why you would be anywhere near Hawaii during a storm. You gotta get the hell out of there, man. It's just a tiny little island. Better get inland as much as you can. You better get on the top of that volcano. Bluey's Best Day Ever live show debuts at Disneyland's Fantasylands Theater. Oh, I can't wait to hear the pronouns of Bluey in the show. I wonder if they did Bluey's first transition yet. Yeah, don't screw up Bluey, Disney. Whatever you do. Chappelle Rowan says, I do not hate children, after Jorginho Frello accuses her security of being rude to his daughter. That was not my personal security. I barely know who this woman is. Who cares? All right, moving on. Fandom Pulse. All right. William Shatner takes shots at Star Trek Online on his 95th birthday. He is a national treasure, isn't he? He just went in. He was a guy I was worried about. He went in for an operation just recently on his shoulders. He fell off a horse and hurt himself a while back, like months ago. And he, he's 95, so he had to heal enough to have the operation. And then, because they don't want to open up a guy who's 95 unless they have to, but I guess he's like, F it, I gotta get rid of this pain, so they're gonna open him up and fix his shoulder. I hope he's fine. I think he's probably already had the operation by now. I think that was like at least a week ago. And speaking of Me Too, the downfall of Josh Whedon, a cautionary tale of hubris. Yeah, I mean, they're bringing back, or they were trying to bring back Buffy. What's the other thing they're bringing back? Buffy and one other thing. And they weren't even going to bring in Josh Whedon at all? How the hell can you even do Buffy without Josh Whedon at this point? He made that show. That's one of those weird incidents where the creator wasn't the creative force on the show. Kind of like the X-Men, really. Weirdly enough, it really wasn't Stan Lee who made the X-Men famous. It was Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont wrote the issues that everybody remembers. I mean, he didn't create it, but he was the creative force that made the X-Men the institution they are. Josh Whedon is the creative force that made Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like, huge. It was just some stupid movie. Alan Moore was the creative force behind the Swamp Thing being as big as it was. It was just some stupid movie. Based on, I think, wasn't it based on what Bernie Wrightson had created initially? They didn't really do much of a story, and then it was over, and then they did a movie, and then they did the comic, and Alan Moore wrote it and became this huge thing. So I don't see how you do a Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot without him. Like, how can you not just bring him back? He was sued. I know there was a lot of accusations. I think he was sued. Definitely wasn't arrested. So it's been a long time. But man, they canceled his ass. They canceled him. I don't really have any, much sympathy for him. He was kind of an insufferable guy, I think. He was one of these male feminist types who constantly talked a good game, but then he got accused behind the scenes, and you're like, what? So I don't know. I don't know anything. Let me just say that right up front. I don't know if anybody's guilty of anything ever for the history of ever. It's just my opinion. We're just talking here. But whatever. The book every fantasy fan should read before anything else. All right, let's take a look at that. This is from Fandom Pulse. Is it going to be the Bible? Let's see. Gary Gygax built Dungeons & Dragons on a reading list when he published the first advanced D&D Dungeon Master's Guide in 1979. He included Appendix N, a short bibliography of the authors and books that shaped the game. So Paul wouldn't know, Anderson, Jack Vance, Fritz Lieber, Michael Moorcock, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Roger Zelazny, a couple of dozen more. These were not decorative citations, they were source code. Most people today have never read them. Let's see. I assume Tolkien was on that list too. Oh, here we go. Appendix N. Jeffro Johnson, The Literary History of Dungeons & Dragons. Okay, so I guess they're drilling down into that. So that sounds interesting. I mean, I was a big D&D guy, so I wouldn't mind reading it. I donated to. They did a really cool memorial for Gary Gygax. I don't know if I told you about this, but the deal was they built a giant table out in a park and a statue to Gary. So Gary's at the end of the table like the Dungeon Master, and then on the table is his map of Greyhawk. And the idea is for the memorial, there's like chairs around the table or places you could sit. I assume they're made of stone. But the idea is you can go to the park and play Dungeons & Dragons on the table, which I thought was a great way to memorialize Gary. So I donated, so I got a little certificate. And I think I got a free PDF of the map. So that sounds cool. That's a cool way to remember Gary, I think. And what's this? Crusade, the show that never got to tell the story. Oh, Babylon 5 spinoff. There's been a lot of talk about Babylon 5 this week as well. So Razor Fist made a video. I guess this was beginning of this week? Yeah, I think it was the beginning of this week. He dropped it. It was a video dispelling the myth that DS9, Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek was ripped off Babylon 5. So apparently this was an internet thing for many years. I had never heard this rumor, but that was the rumor, that Deep Space Nine ripped off Babylon 5, and thus the rest is history. So Razor goes through, and he always has receipts about how that couldn't be the case. The show was being pitched well before Babylon 5 got up and running or got pitched or whatever. And apparently Michael J. Straczynski, who has pushed that story for a long time, blew a gasket and posted a bunch of stuff that he posted on Substack, if you want to read it, trying to argue against it. And then Razor, in one of his live video, he said, I thought about addressing the points, but like he kind of just dismissed them pretty much out of hand. He read some of it on the live stream and just kind of shot some of them down rather than to do an individual video. So if you're interested in all of that whole drama, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of sad though, but I think Michael J. Straczynski is another victim of TDS, another guy who just let his politics like completely overwhelm everything in his brain. It's really strange to me how this has happened to so many people in movies, comics, TV shows, whatever. They're just their brains are completely cooked, and it's like they can't understand how they could be wrong, and they kind of can't accept they kind of just can't accept that, yeah, maybe I don't have all the answers, you know, maybe Trump is not the orange devil, and you know, maybe Republicans aren't going to destroy us all. Like, they're so insufferable about their politics. I mean, the list of people I just won't support anymore just grows and grows and grows, it seems. And it's a shame, because it's like some of them are talented people, but the moment they open their mouth about politics, it just pisses me off so much, and it just ruins everything. It just ruined. I'll give you a more recent example, and a more extreme one, really. I did an analysis of this Irish rap group called Kneecap, which I watched their trailer for their movie, and they're in it, and it's about their rise to fame, and they rap in Irish Gaelic, and they spurned a whole group of Irish kids to get interested in their language, which I thought was very cool. And I thought their rise to fame in the video, at least, looked pretty cool. But now to find out they're just raging communists. So it's crazy. They were part of a group of people who went to Cuba, right? And this, Asmongold has some videos on this if you want to see them. So they went to Cuba, and the idea was Kneecap was going to do a show to, I don't know, raise money, or just to get all the communists out of America for a week to go to Havana and show support for the Cuban people because they hate Trump that much. And then that Code Pink brought $500,000 worth of aid, whatever that's worth. I'm sure the government took it all. And the power situation in Cuba is very dire. They cannot have concerts there. But apparently they shunted all the power to a 5-star hotel so these people could stay in the hotel and the concert venue, and that they had to cut off power to other places in Cuba, including hospitals. And the rumor is a bunch of patients on ventilators died. So if you can imagine, and then they interviewed these, what I would call useful idiots, and they're talking about Cuba like it's the greatest place on earth. And it's just like, Cuba is done. Cuba is absolutely done. You know, like the Maduro flip, that was precision. Iran has taken a long time. I'm a little worried about Iran, but I think it's going mostly well. Cuba, if Trump just did Cuba, it would have been flick no matter how he did it. And now, like, without Venezuela to back him up, Cuba's done. I mean, Cuba is completely cooked. So the fact that these communists haven't gotten the message is just insane. They're just so performative with their politics. It's sickening, really. You know, I consider politics like it's my sport, but it's like it talks about issues that are important. And these people are so surface that they take all those important issues and they just wear it as a skin suit and make these pronouncements and do these insanely stupid things. Imagine supporting the Cuban regime right now. It's on the verge of collapse. We can finally get these people a democratic government and get the communists out of Cuba, get rid of their dictator, and these people go out of their way to go over there and cause all this alleged damage. It's insane. It's insane. Anyhow, sorry, I'm ranting. Moving on. Hollywood Reporter. The faithful women of the Bible. Minnie Driver in a Fox religious drama that's like a filmed Wikipedia summary. Well, I wouldn't trust that review coming from Hollywood Reporter. Anything Christian or Bible related probably going to get blasted by the entertainment press pretty hard. But that being said, I'm not really into religious dramas either. It may be at least partly accurate, but I wouldn't trust it if I was into watching religious dramas. Let's see. Oh, look. Lisa Kudrow's final comeback. I think this woman had enough comebacks. The final straw for me was her reboot of Time Bandits with Taika Waititi putting her in the lead role as the lead bandit. I mean, you want to talk about a move that was just horrifically dumb. Horrifically dumb. Lisa Kudrow as the lead time bandit? What are you, out of your mind? Everybody involved in that should never work in show business again. Everyone. They should all be fired. Even Taika Waititi, who's done some good stuff, but was there no one in the room that go, no, this isn't going to work? Who would it work for? Who exactly would go, oh, I love Lisa Kudrow so much that I would want to see her in a completely different role that she's never been in before, that she's completely wrong for? I don't see how that could work. I genuinely don't see that. The whole point of Time Bandits was it was a bunch of little guys running around the universe, jumping through time holes. And part of the fun was just watching the little guys do it. Watching them fall through the holes in their little bodies going, ah! Lisa Kudrow? You get Lisa Kudrow? At least get a comedian. At least get Kevin Hart. He was kind of short. He's kind of short. He's almost that short. But, my God, Lisa Kudrow. You give Lisa Kudrow another sitcom. That's what you give her. She'd be perfectly fine in a sitcom. She plays somebody's mom, and she's a wacky ex-hippie or whatever. And she does the same old thing. That's where she belongs. Do a spinoff about her character on Friends if you want to really get some ratings, at least the first couple of episodes. But you put her in a Time Bandits reboot? The 100 most stylish movie characters of all time ranked. All right. Let's look at some of it. I'll just look at the top 10, maybe. Let's see. Stylish. Now, keep in mind this is stylish. I don't know who these characters are. Tashi and Patrick. Who are they? Challengers. You going to mention the movie Challengers at all? I guess. I don't know. Here's Ryan Gosling and Driver. Kind of stylish. Miriam Blaylock in The Hunger. Maybe. That was a very stylish movie, I guess. I'm going to go skip to the top 10, though. I can't go through this whole list. 65. Jesus, a long list. Who's that? Oh, it's Robert Redford in Day of the Con. Okay, we'll start at 22. Here's the dude in The Big Lebowski. I mean, stylish in that he has a style, I guess. 21 and 21, Elizabeth and John in 9.5 weeks, I guess. Kind of hard to, I mean, Sally Albright and When Harry Met Sally? I guess. I don't know. I don't really get this. Okay, here's one. Scarface. This is Elvira Hancock, Michelle Pfeiffer. Sure. That scream style, right? I mean, it's the 80s, but had a lot of expensive clothes. Joe Bradley and Princess Anne in Roman Holiday. Sure. Gregory Park. Tony Manero. There you go. In Saturday Night Fever. Okay. 14. Rosemary Woodhouse in Rosemary's Baby. I guess. Not really a movie for style. Julian Stark in American Gigolo. Sure. That's why he was in it. Radio Raheem and Mookie. I don't know. I guess. I mean, they've got a style. Wouldn't wear those clothes. Those James Bond is number 10. Okay. Always looks good. Eve Kendall and Roger Thornhill. Oh, North by Northwest. Yeah. They're pretty stylish. Tracy Chambers in Mahogany, 1975 by Diana Ross. I guess. She was at her peak then. Annie Hall. I guess. I mean, it was a style for a while. 77. Philip Marlowe. Sure. Long Goodbye. Holly Golightly. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Sure. Classic. Fred and Helena in Subway, 1985. I don't know this movie. Christopher Lambert. And number 1, Mrs. Robinson. Maybe. I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a weird list, right? Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go through the whole 100. A Minecraft theme park is in the works. That's money. Yeah, I could see this. Absolutely. Long overdue. Will open in 2027 at the Chessington World of Adventures in Greater London. You telling me Universal or Disneyland doesn't have the rights to this? Who the hell made this movie? Who made the Minecraft movie? Why aren't they doing this? I must know immediately. Minecraft. Who made this thing? Minecraft. Ah, damn it. Let me just do it. Let me just ask the AI. What studio made the Minecraft movie? There you go. Mojang Studio. God, I gotta go to Wikipedia. Cinematography, production companies, Legendary Pictures, Vertigo Entertainment, Warner Brothers. Thank you. Okay. Warner Brothers doesn't have a park. So, kind of get it now. Warner Brothers doesn't have a park. So who would get it now? Well, they just got bought by Paramount and Skydance. They don't really have a park either, but isn't Universal? Universal is doing the Harry Potter attraction, so I think it would fall to Universal Orlando to get this deal. And this would be huge. This would be absolutely bonkers. I think kids would go crazy for this. Just like they're doing the Super Mario Brothers world, right? Yeah, aren't they doing that in Orlando too? Yeah, that's money. That is money. A lot of comics today. Frank Miller draws his first ever Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover. What'd you think of this, JEC? This is a black and white version. There's a color version somewhere. I mean, Frank's always good, right? Oh, here's the color version. And here are the turtles done by their creators. So, Brian Michael Bendis, superhero crime comic powers getting adult animation treatment on Netflix. Didn't they try to do this show already? There's Mike Oeming on the right. He's a good guy. He was based out of Philly back in the day. I sort of knew him back then. Very talented. So good for him. Hope you make a lot of money. JEC of the Frank Miller cover says better than the most covers he's been doing lately. Harry Potter series star Papa Isidu says he's received death threats for Snape casting. JEC, I mean, it's about on par with the original Eastman and Lair art from the original comics. Okay? So this guy's claiming he's getting death threats about Snape. That's ridiculous, of course. I don't think they should have cast him, though, as Snape. I mean, I think they should have. Snape is, again, the race swapping gets you absolutely nothing but trouble, in my opinion. But keep doing it, Hollywood, you hard-headed morons. Over at Bounding in the Comics, Subnautica 2 release date is here, and the wait is almost over. This game is pretty cool. I watched PewDiePie play the first version of it. I kind of like it. I haven't bothered to download it and play it yet, but if I had some time, I would totally do that. That would be probably in my top 5 games that I really would love to have time to play. Looks cool as hell. You're just kind of like, you're on an alien world, but you're underwater. And you're building, you do the usual stuff. You're building stuff and exploring and trying to get alien samples. And that's pretty cool. JEC, Potter fans are crazy. They already have the movies. Remaking it again seems like a pointless money grab. Well, they're not remaking the movies. They're doing it as a TV show. So there's stuff that's been left out of the movies, that they could go into. So I could see that aspect of it if they cut a lot out of the books. And plus, they've got Harry Potter Land opening soon. And one of the reasons I would do it is the old cast has gotten a lot of press that I feel makes them look bad because they have to keep opening their mouths about J.K. Rowling for some reason and her views. I don't see why they even have to do that, other than they're working actors in Hollywood and they all got, I can't be seen with this woman. I have to immediately distance myself. Even you got what's his face, John Lithgow doing that too, and it's like, you're on the show, dude. You're Dumbledore. Just be Dumbledore. Why do you have to say, oh, by the way, I hate J.K. Rowling too? Like, it's like people in America having to tell everybody, oh, by the way, I hate Donald Trump. I live in America, but I hate Donald Trump. I just want you to all know. It's like, you don't have to do that, dude. Like, you're not under the gun. No one cares. And J.K. Rowling will be proved right one day, and you'll look like an a-hole. All these people will look like a-holes when finally the insanity lifts and everybody goes, yeah, you can have trans women playing against biological women in sports. That's completely illegal now. When that finally happens, when that veil just gets completely lifted, everyone who said anything about J.K. Rowling, I hope every friggin' interview you do starts with, oh, I see here you said you despised the views of J.K. Rowling. Do you still think that trans women should play in women's sports? Make them defend that. make them, they should all have to keep defending that in every interview they do. But we'll see. Here's a picture of, I think that's Affleck as Batman. Speaking of pointless money grabs, they seem to be pushing pretty hard for the Snyderverse to return for some insane reason. I don't know why you would, but okay. I guess it would make some money, but... Sarah Michelle Gellar's Buffy reboot scrap shockingly blames executive. I don't think it's too shocking. You know, unless that executive still holds power, in which case I bet she wouldn't say anything, but who knows? The word is the script got leaked, and she was worried about that, because apparently the script was terrible. I don't know. What I do know is, without Josh Whedon, I don't know why you would bother. It was his baby. He made it what it was. Get him, in my opinion. All right. Oh, here it is. This is the whole, if you're interested. So, you've got this woman from The Bachelorette who was caught on video having a meltdown with her, I guess it's her actual boyfriend or daddy, baby daddy. And apparently they have at least a kid or two together. She goes off on him. She throws chairs at him right with her kid in the room. It's bad. That video's bad. And the rumor is ABC's poised to lose something like $30 million because they can't air this show. Like, the scandal's way too big. They absolutely, I don't think they could ever air the show. You'd have to wait like 20 years, and then it would be pointless to air it anyway. But man, if you haven't seen that footage, holy cow. Oh, here's another guy who died. Robert Fox dies. The Crown EP and theater producer was 73. That wasn't who I was thinking of, but that's a completely different guy. HBO comedy boss on being the first to spoof AI with the comeback, Larry David and more. There's a pretty good sketch comedy show on YouTube. I forget what it's called, but he just does sketches using AI. It's all AI. It's kind of fun. Let's see. Tom Holland praises Zendaya's The Drama ahead of premiere. It's gonna floor you. Okay. Whatever, Tom. We get it. Rachel Lee Cook addresses hopes for Josie and the Pussycats sequel. Comments on cult status. I don't know. Was that movie a hit? I don't think that movie made any money. Did it? Let's see. Maybe it made money. It wasn't. I don't think it was very expensive. Josie and the Pussycats. Is this it? I think so. It made $14 million. The budget was $39 million. I don't think you want to do a sequel to Josie and the Pussycats. Yeah, I think that's done. I think it's cooked. Let it go. Let it go. Barry Keoghan says, online abuse has become a problem for his acting. You don't want to even be on screen anymore. Dude, just ignore it. Just act. No one cares. All right. Bleeding Fool. Sonic 4 leak. Jim Carrey's Robotnik returns with a twist. Yep. So, Sonic, solid enough franchise, it seems. IDW's D&D comic isn't about heroes, it's rooting for the monsters. Okay. Not sure. Dark Horse is continuing its partnership with Wizards of the Coast. It'll be focusing on a group of misfits monsters struggling to get by in the lower depths of a dungeon. So, okay. The monsters killing people. Alright. I mean, that could be fun for a different sort of fantasy book, I guess. For the D&D crowd. I know they have, was it Dungeon Crawler Carl? But I guess he's a good guy. Dune is dropping at some point. Dune Part 3. Talked a little bit about this when I did my trailer analysis. I thought this was going to be Dune Messiah, but somebody corrected me, and that's the second book. So it's going to be the third book. I don't know what the title was. I thought it was Messiah. And Duncan Idaho returns. He's some kind of clone, I think. I don't know. I never read past the first book. The first book's good. So I kind of want to watch the Dune series, but I kind of don't. It seems like a big time commitment. But I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. Here's John Cleese defending Christian values, sounds alarms on UK's future. John Cleese is kind of a mixed bag because, on the one hand, he now seems to be arguing a lot of very base things, very obvious things to the Lotus Eaters, that there's just too many migrants coming into the UK. They're being overwhelmed. But he also is like, he came up in very, very liberal era. And now he's seems to be more based. So let's see some of the things he said. John Cleese, the UK has always been based at the deepest level on Christian values, regardless of dogma. Despite the many mistakes made by churches for centuries, British people have been influenced by Christ's teaching. If these values are replaced by Islamic ones, this will not be Britain. And I'm sure he's immediately canceled. I think he's got a point, absolutely. They just need to stop and reverse the immigration there, just like we're trying to do here. Now, we're a bigger country, so we don't have as big of a flood. I mean, our flood's getting absorbed. Even as people are being kicked back out, some of the people who are still percolating around here, they're just turning into fat Americans. So they've got plenty of people in England, I'm sure, who turned into stuffy English prats, as they would say. And, you know, guys who love drinking a pint and hanging out or whatever. But when you flood the country that much, it's just insane that it's not obvious to most people what's happening. You know, you can't do something like that and say, oh, it's not on purpose. It's just an accident that everybody's subtly coming here. No, it seems like a purposeful power play by political forces within your own country, just like it is here. So today, I was watching videos in California where they have people living on the streets and they send out petitioners. Now, petitions are very big in California. You could get things on the ballot. You can get all kinds of ballot initiatives and get things passed. And so what they're doing is they set up tents in Skid Row, and they're illegally offering cigarettes and other incentives to the homeless people to sign petitions and vote a certain way. Now, they don't all vote a certain way, but they don't have any control over that. But the more incentives they give, the more they can influence them and understand, oh, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, well, then you'll get X, Y, and Z. So, and it's totally illegal to do that in California, but people are doing it so flagrantly in the streets there in Skid Row that there was one video I saw of a woman who was exposing it, and she talked to the cops, and the cops said, yeah, that sounds pretty bad. And when she suggested that, well, why aren't you arresting them? He just sort of laughed because he knows they won't be prosecuted, or they'll be prosecuted to so little he'll just go right back to doing it. So this is a real problem because it's a problem that's spurned by political forces. They're putting millions of dollars into doing this. This isn't about race or helping people or anything like that. It's about one thing and one thing only: money and power, which are kind of the same thing in America. And they're doing it to get these people to vote a certain way, to influence things a certain way. And when you have these vulnerable communities and you say, do this and we'll give you a little bit, they'll do it. Why wouldn't you? If you're living on the streets and you need a cigarette, sure. Who cares if you sign your name? Who cares? I could totally see that. And that's exactly what they're doing in the UK. Oh, come on. You know I do this thing. Call you later. Okay. So yeah. I do this show every... Of course, my mother calls from her landline, so I can't even send her the text that say, "Can I call you later? Can I call you back later?" Okay, now she got it. Okay. All right. Yeah, so John Cleese has finally gotten the memo, and he's, it's not about like, well, we hate Muslim people. It's about there's too many people here, and they're not acting like people who are English. They want to be Muslim. Okay, go back to your home country and be Muslim there. Don't come here and then make the country your country. That's called an invasion. So, and we've got some of that going on in Texas and other places. But look, we have enough room to take some of these people in America, certainly. You certainly could have a Muslim area. I mean, Paterson, New Jersey is now Muslim Central. But, and Lakewood is all Hasidic Jews. But, you can't flaunt our laws and customs completely. You can't play that morning prayer siren, whatever it is. You got to do something different. You got to send a signal to your phone so it only bothers you. We don't want to hear your prayer siren, whatever the hell you call it. I don't want to hear that in my neighborhood. I'd be pissed off as hell if I woke up to that every morning at 6 a.m. Oh my God. So yeah, you just gotta become American or become British or whatever. If I went to your country, I'd have to become like you, or I'd have to respect your values. Seems pretty simple. Anywho, moving on, the rap. More on Project Hail Mary. Hockey reporter and her 3 children killed in Minnesota. House fire remembered by NHL. Jesus. That's terrible. Josh Schlossberg, he's one of the Kennedy kids. I guess he's the great-grandson of Jack Kennedy at this point, says he doesn't have to guess what JFK, RFK would think of Trump. The difference is clear. Who cares? Who cares? This is like the loudest of the Kennedys who hate Trump and hate all Republicans, I guess. Nancy Guthrie family asked Tucson community to revisit their memories. Someone knows something. This is how sad this case has become, that the Guthries themselves now have to help the investigation. I think they're going to sue the bejeebus out of the sheriff when this is over. I think they're going to have to find poor Nancy Guthrie's first, but after that happens, man, there's going to be an inquiry. I think the sheriff is in very big trouble. Something went wrong here. I can't imagine in this day and age in New Jersey. I mean, you can't go down the street without hitting a camera. You just can't. Now we're way more densely populated than Arizona, but I mean, she lived in a nice community where they would likely have Ring cameras. So you gotta figure that abductor's car or himself had to have passed one of these damn cameras. Had to have. You can track people via camera almost door to door now. At least here you can. Now out there, sure, there's going to be some gaps. But unless you know exactly where those gaps are and make pains to make sure you do certain things, I don't see how this guy gets away. But apparently it's happened. All right, moving on to Cosmic Book News. Supergirl budget rumored to be only $100 million. Maybe? Didn't they screw around with the numbers on Superman when that first dropped? I vaguely remember them doing it. They gave us a low number, and then the movie dropped, and then later they revised it back up. But I don't know. Supergirl, it's definitely one I would watch if I watched it at all on a platform. There'd be no way I'd go to the movies to see that. Zachary Levi takes over MegaCon at Ripperverse booth. So Zachary Levi doing his thing. I think Zachary Levi played his career right? He got big enough to do some mainstream movies. JC, why only 100 million? Yeah, it sounds really low. I think Zachary Levi played his cards just right. He got big enough to do some mainstream movies. I mean, I know the Shazam sequel did nothing, but he's big enough name that he made when he made the jump to, like, you know, doing Christian movies or whatever you'd call them, more right-wing movies. He's a big enough name now that, you know, he could just instantly start at the top on the other side of the Hollywood aisle, so to speak. Marvel sets new 2028 and 2029 movie dates as Black Panther 3 and X-Men speculation starts. So I don't care if they ever do these movies. Quite frankly, I think Black Panther, they ought to just shelve it at this point, unless you're going to bring back a guy. Yeah, I think it would be foolish to do another one. But, you know, the first one made $1 billion, but that was with the character. JC, I was being sarcastic. Only $100 million? Lots. LOLs. Some Tom King trash. Girl Boss True Grit in spandex, I think you meant. Well, it's $100 million movie because, I mean, there's a lot of effects in it. Jason Momoa's in it. A few other people I think are in it. I think it would be I think it would be at least closer to 150 million, but that's just me. Space. True Grit in space. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. Ryan Gosling teasing that he might be Ghost Rider. I don't know if anybody cares. Minecraft 2 cast Kristen Dunst as Alex. I don't remember Alex alongside Jack Black Steve. Oh, man, I got to go to the bathroom. Sorry, I got to take a little break. Here's Joan to entertain you. Here you go, Joan. All right, entertain the crowd. I'll be right back. was a little close. A little too close for comfort. JC, yes, Joan. We all know Israel forced Joan to go to war with Iran. Clint Miller, come on, Joan. They're not all like that. Joan, what did I tell you? You gotta be a good dog. You gotta be a good dog. You gotta stop saying those things. You gotta stop watching Nick Fuentes. That's it. No more Nick Fuentes for you. JC, watch it, Joan. You're on YouTube. Can say that about God chosen people. You guys, you're wrong. Joan's not like that. Let's see. Zack Snyder celebrates Dawn of the Dead anniversary. Oh, come on, dude. What are we celebrating? This guy's career? He's already? He's not dead. Look. He's not a classic, in my view. I do like that Dawn of the Dead remake. I think that's his probably best movie. What? All right, now you gotta leave? Okay, here you go. JC, can't say. We just watch her. Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer becomes biggest hit in history with 718.6 million views. JC, his career is dead. I don't think it is. I think there's really a possibility Warner Brothers might bring him back and try to reboot the Zack Snyder universe, because the rumor is the Saudis really like his movies. I don't know why. I think it would be a disaster. Because I think they would, they would pump it like, oh, Zack Snyder's back, the Snyderverse is back, everything's back. And then they wouldn't be able to get everybody. That would be number one. JC, it's an okay remake until the last act, and then it just gets dumb. I'm fine with it. I mean, I like the boat stuff. Are you talking about the boat stuff at the end, or the stuff like leading up to the boat in the third act? I like the after credit or the during credits thing where they go to the island. I like that. But yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer becomes the biggest in history with 718.6 million views. Now that is a true hit. I mean, it's amazing what a hit this is. Don't blow this, Sony. Whatever you do, don't blow this. Everything I see in the trailer indicates it's very much in the spirit of the comic. The only fly in the ointment is the Brand New Day storyline, which I've heard in comics is the actual storyline is terrible. However, I'm not sure it's following the spirit of the newer one, but it might be. I don't know, man. Hopefully it sticks with like Spider-Man and Peter Parker being a loser and fighting crime and all that stuff. I'm not sure the ninjas should be in it. That seemed like a weird add-on. I want to see the Scorpion. I want to see, haven't seen him yet. I want to see Tombstone. That sounds fun. I want to see the Punisher. There's a bunch of others in it. JC, how they soup up a bus and make a break for the ocean goes from a decent zombie movie to a retarded action schlock. I'm okay with it. I mean, what else are you gonna do? My problem with that movie in general is I don't like running zombies. I think running zombies aren't like zombies. If they're running, like, they're not zombies. There should just be either too many of them or they should sneak up on you, right? So I don't think they should have stood a chance against like a bus, the zombies, unless you do something stupid like run too many over and they get stuck in the wheel well and then you're screwed. But I think, or if you, I don't know, foolishly go out in the middle of the night and then the power goes out or something like that. Like, I'm kind of okay with the way the movie sort of rolled out up to a point. I mean, I kind of don't remember the details of the bus now. I know they get stuck at one point. The weird part is the that one character sacrificing himself at the end, because it seems like he just like does it, like doesn't even try to escape. He just sits there while he like blows up or something. But yeah, I was all right with it. I love the opening to that. The opening of the movie is amazing. Zack Snyder is really good at visuals. I mean, if that man would just listen to a script, like a real script, like if a scriptwriter handed him something and he was forced to do the exact movie, but he could do all the visual, stuff, I think it would be an amazing movie. I really do. If I could get him to do the Pineys and he had to do everything in the book exactly the way I wrote it, I'd be 100% fine with that. I'd be 100% fine with it. It would look amazing. But unfortunately, I don't think he would listen to instructions. He doesn't strike me as a guy who listens to instructions. And he definitely shouldn't be writing anything, in my opinion. Just doesn't seem to work out for him. That's why I think that movie is his strongest movie, because the script's already there, right? I mean, he had to basically he at least had to follow the outline of the script, which he sort of does. I mean, I forget what happens at the end of the original one. I guess the original one, they leave by helicopter off the roof, I think. Yeah, I don't think they steal a bus and soup that up. So, DC targets young readers with trans queer comic and new Justice League Pride event. As always, when woke people do something stupid, they double and triple down, because they haven't been fired and they don't care about money. So DC apparently is doubling and tripling down on their Pride stuff again. Clint Miller, trivia: there's a fruit fly mutation called Fruity. The males form a Congo line. Ba-dum-bum. Yeah, I don't know why DC keeps doing this, other than I don't think they're monitoring their sales or care, is my guess. My guess is they don't really make any money. So they just keep doing this for ESG points for Warner, and mostly because I feel like comics have become like the bottom barrel of the divisions of all the movie studios. Like, no one cares what happens to the comics because they don't make enough money for anybody to care. But at the same time, they're like, they have this position where they actually are sort of leading Hollywood down this path, because stuff that happens in the comics seeps its way into the movies, and they just don't understand they're destroying it. They're destroying all their characters this way. Or they don't care. They don't care that they're destroying the characters. They think the fans will just basically buy and eat up anything, and they're clearly not, because these events don't really do anything. This elusive fan that's like, I would read more comics if only there were more gay characters and queer and trans kids. I just don't have enough. Like, there's just not enough of these fans. Even if they wanted this stuff, and I fully believe there are plenty of gay fans and trans fans out there who look at this stuff and go, yeah, I'm not going to buy that. Simply because it's just too pandering. It's just too on the nose. Like, if Chris Claremont back in the day he did introduce a gay character in the X-Men. Everybody liked him. North Star. He got married in the damn comic. Back at a time when getting gay married was, I believe it was completely illegal. It was the 80s. I don't think any state legalized gay marriage in the 80s. Maybe one did. Maybe Vermont did or something. But I'm sure, and Chris Claremont was a progressive, I'm sure if he was aware of trans people back in his heyday, he would have easily introduced a trans X-Men. Like, it wouldn't even been a second thought. JC, Watchmen is probably his best movie. Yeah, Watchmen is pretty good. Although I hate that he just leaves out that one thing I love about the comic so much, but at the end, which is, I think it's in one version of it, I don't know. Clint Miller, I love the panders at the National Zoo. So yeah, I just wish all these people would be fired. And then you could get rid of this Pride Week or whatever. And you could just actually introduce characters. And maybe they'd be gay, or maybe they would be, whatever. And if they were popular, great. If they weren't, you just move on like they used to do. Now it's this ridiculous, well, I've got a new pitch. It's this 2 lesbian superhero characters doing blah, 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 blah. JEC, which part? We've all watched Watchmen. Isn't there a part, and it wasn't in the cut I originally saw. So the cut I originally saw didn't have the ending where the guy gets Rorschach's diary, and then the editor of the crazy magazine says the line, here, I got this crazy diary from this crazy fan. He doesn't know it's Rorschach. I'll leave it with you. You make the choice, or something like that. Like that moment was, I think, out of the cut I saw. And then they didn't they make it like, no, that was in no. Did they do the atomic bomb thing, or did they do the alien? Did they do the alien in the movie? I forget. That's in there in the last shot of the movie. I don't remember seeing it when I saw the damn thing. I don't know why. I think we had this conversation before and you said the same thing. I don't remember seeing it. Maybe I tuned out. I don't know. Maybe it was, did they do the alien? Did they do the alien or not? Or did they make it an atomic bomb? Did they make it like atomic war? I forget now. God, it's been a while. I don't remember. My brain's cooked too. Anywho, checking that Park Place. Hollywood struggles to fill empty LA sound stages as productions flee California. I can't understand why. I mean, why? Why are you leaving California? Oh, right. It's because you're being taxed to death. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows. JC. There are 2 guys at the conspiracy newspaper he left his diary with. They're complaining they need some new material, and he says, look at the crank pile, and then it pans over and the diary's sitting on top. He doesn't say the line though, right? Maybe that's what I was complaining about back then. I don't remember. Yeah, the reason you can't do a production in Hollywood is just too expensive. Now they're talking about, this week they said they want to try to push for some kind of federal subsidy to save jobs in California, basically by letting these idiots skate on some kind of tax thing, or just, God forbid, they give them a subsidy. I'll lose my damn mind if they give these people a subsidy. You absolutely do not subsidize these asshats. What they need to do is turn down the state taxes. That's what you need to do. Or the unions need to like come in and say, we're gonna cut not jobs, but we'll cut back on our money. JC, change the ending is not the alien. It was Dr. Manhattan that's framed for killing everyone. I actually think it works better than the original ending. The ending was the weakest part of the comic. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I like the whole alien thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I love Rorschach in it. I love Rorschach. Jackie Earle Haley's so good in it in that role. Um, but man, the TV show was no bueno. That looked like a mess. But yeah, I mean, you can't shoot anything in Hollywood anymore. I mean, it's just too expensive. You have to roll it back. It's the only solution, and the Democrats certainly are not going to do that. Gavin Newsom is not going to do that. He'll happily give people handouts, but that always comes with a price, right? So if you're going to give the studio like a big tax abatement, let's say, oh, we're going to give you a huge tax abatement, but you're going to have to vote for me next year, or vote for me when I run for president, or vote for this colleague of mine, or whatever. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about controlling it, controlling the money. Because if they get that tax abatement, it won't last forever. And then they get back on their feet, and then boom, they're paying the price anyway. You're just better off leaving. Or what you really could do is just cut these taxes back. Just cut them way back. But you're going to have to cut your programs. But you're pissing them away anyway. Obviously, Newsom spent billions on homeless people and didn't see any return whatsoever. You might as well cut all that. But they won't. So they're trapped. And I don't think Trump should lift a finger to help these people. Not a finger. He should tell them to go pound sand. But Gavin Newsom, if he's elected president, oh my God, will he pour favors on Hollywood and California. Oh, he'll pour money into California. He'll want all of the country to be California. This is an Xbox. Xbox mode is coming to Windows 11 next month. I don't know what that means. Where to watch Walker Texas Ranger after Chuck Norris passing? Well, I assume it's reruns somewhere. Let's see. If you subscribe to Philo, they're going to have the series. The Roku channel has a nice selection of Chuck Norris movies. Pluto TV, it's a free ad-supported streaming service, has seasons 8 and 9. And it's only available on live TV with Sling. So Amazon Prime, you can pay for the entire seasons for $29.99, except for the first season, which cost $8.99. Or buy the whole series for $7.99. Yeah, buy. You don't really own it, I would say. But whatever. If you're desperate to see it, I would never buy a movie on Amazon because they're not going to hold it for you, in my view. Someday they'll say, oh, well, we have to clean out. You haven't watched your movie, and your movies in 10, after 10 months or whatever. We delete them. I bet that's what they do. I'm not saying they do that. Just being predictive. All right, looking at Breitbart. Did Trump already win war? Okay. Gas is $3.79 in South Jersey. He ain't won S until he gets that number down. So, Bissent, USA jiu-jitsuing Iranians by using their own oil against them. JEC, $29.99 for the individual seasons, but the whole series is $7? No, $79.99. JC, probably not. I mean, if you want to watch all 9 seasons, I mean, it's more economic to buy all 9 seasons than it is to buy just the one. California sheriff running for governor seizes 500K ballots from election. Sounds illegal. Trump will deploy ICE to airports tomorrow. I wonder if they'll catch any illegal aliens there. Interesting. First Lady debunks Belarusian president false claim that she reached out to him for assistance to reach Putin. Jesus Amir is here. Hello there, Tony. Hello there, Jesus. Welcome to the channel. Tallarico claims Christians believe God beyond gender when asked about God's genitalia? Who the hell would ask him about God's genitalia? AOC's campaign spent nearly $19,000 on psychiatrists known for hallucinogenic therapy. I assume she didn't need any of the drugs to be hallucinating. David Spade blames Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass for Hollywood's terrifying downfall. I don't know about that. That's a big call. I mean, they're both idiots, don't get me wrong, but to blame them for Hollywood? No. JC, I'm worried about the price of diesel. It's spiking higher than regular gas. Yeah, that's a huge problem. Because that's going to mean everything's going to go up. Everything in this country is shipped. He's got to open the reserves, and he's got to get this war under wraps ASAP. He's got another week before we're at the end of a month, and then maybe another 2 after that before people are really going to start to go, what the F, if this thing doesn't start to ramp down. I think he could do it in a week. Maybe. I don't know. But if this thing goes 2 months, oh, it's going to be a disaster. You got to get this thing done by, let's say, if this thing goes to the end of April, people are going to be losing their damn minds. He's going to have to dig himself out of a hole. But he'll have enough time to do it before the summer. You're going to have to get the gas prices down to like $1. Then nobody will care. Let's see. Winton Hall tells Larry Elder Code Red is about shortening conservatives' AI learning curve by 5 years. Okay. Over at Entertainment, there's David Spade blaming Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Yeah, I don't think you really blame those two morons for the fall of Hollywood as an institution that makes movies. I think you could blame them for the fall of Los Angeles. Oh, 100%. And the fall of California in general. But Hollywood? No. Hollywood is falling because of two things. Number one is the internet. The internet is the great equalizer, and it's not going anywhere. And, AI, I would include AI in that mix too. AI's, yeah, we're real close. People are starting making short AI movies, and some of them they're getting better and better. Better and better. They're only going to get so good, but when they get to the point where I could script my own actors and make them say anything I want, you people are screwed. Because I'm not the only one who's just chomping at the bit for those tools. There's so many other writers who are going to be like, oh, yeah, I could just make a crazy movie with my characters. F you, Hollywood. The other thing, though, is the movies are terrible. And David Spade's made some terrible movies, in my view. I mean, Grown Ups? Yeah, I'm not a fan of Grown Ups. I mean, compared to the movies coming out now, it's kind of okay, but he's got to make some movies, man. He's got a new movie coming out. It's a new comedy he's doing with Theo Vaughn. Could be good. I mean, it looks kind of funny. It's called Bus Boys. So good on you. But, pushing back against these clowns should have happened a long time ago. And unfortunately, you're kind of late to this party, and now you're in a hole. You're going to be digging yourself out of this hole for years to come, begging people to go to your movies. And David Spade's not particularly political. I think he said a couple of things maybe, but, he's not super based or anything, so he doesn't have, a reputation for being, some kind of hardcore MAGA guy. But he also doesn't have a reputation for having TDS and being an idiot. So, it's a shame a guy like him's really going to be caught in the middle, because the MAGA guys will look at him as another Hollywood a-hole, and the liberals, if he doesn't have severe TDS, are going to look at him as a traitor, which is even worse in some respects. So I don't know. I mean, if Bus Boys hits big, maybe this could work, but no one's going to the movies, man. No one's going to the movies. It's sad. It's sad. But you guys, a lot of you guys did it to yourselves. I mean, I hope Bus Boys is funny, and I hope it does well. But will it? Realistically, it'll probably just come and go. People will go, I'll watch that comedy on a platform or whatever. I don't have to go to the movie theater to see that. And then, even if it's the greatest comedy ever made, like, that'll kind of hurt it. It'll take years for that sort of cult classic. I mean, they're talking about Josie and the Pussycats like it's a cult classic that needs to have a sequel. Didn't even make any money, according to what I saw. Didn't even make any money. So who the hell saw it? Meanwhile, they're propping up One Battle After Another like it saved cinema. It lost $100 million. Oh, but let's give it $1 million Oscars, because that's going to help. Yeah, people really trust the Oscars. Yeah, people are going to go back into theaters. My girlfriend couldn't even get through the first 10 minutes. She watches a lot of things. A lot of things. But she couldn't get past that Sean Penn boner. It was too much. And that's not all the other stuff that was in it I was telling her about. So, when you prop up a movie like One Battle After Another, and I'm sure it maybe has a couple of scenes that are pretty cool, but when you prop it up like, oh my God, here's a bunch of Oscars, there's something very wrong. Something very wrong. You can't compare a movie like One Battle After Another, I think, to a movie like Unforgiven. Unforgiven is like, oh my God, this is amazing Western. It's so good. It's so good. No one came out of Unforgiven saying, well, I had some problems with that movie. Like, it's hard to find a lot of problems with that movie. I mean, I'm sure you can pick it up. You can pick apart anything, really, but, One Battle After Another, man, I heard all kinds of crazy things are in that movie that make little to no sense. And honestly, I thought it was a comedy when I saw the first clip of it. It probably should have been. Probably work as a comedy. But when you're putting out your politics over and over again, and they're, in my view, wrong, but that's just my view. But in my view, very divisive. You have to admit it's very divisive to put out your politics. From rich, entitled celebrities who should just be thankful they're rich. I would be so thankful if I had half the money that some of these people have. Oh, every day I would wake up with a smile on my face and greet the day happier than the next. Oh, I have so much money. What a great day today is. But, people just can't. People just can't. Video, Robert De Niro pushes No Kings leftists to take to the streets against mentally ill tyrant Trump. I mean, here is the poster boy for shut the F up. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro, who helped elect Ma'am Danny, had the audacity to come out in some interview and say something like, I can't believe this guy won't take my calls. He's raising my property taxes. Yeah, no kidding. We all warned you what would happen if you elected a communist to run New York City. Oh, but you knew better, being an actor. You knew so much, and now you're shocked that the same politician you helped to get into office won't take your phone calls now that you have a complaint about him? That's standard with any politician, De Niro. Any politician would have done that. And he had a lot of stupid promises that people were calling out. At least, on the other side of the aisle, people were calling him out all over X. Listen to this insane proposal, Ma'am Danny has. He wants to have free buses, and this will cost the city $9 billion and put them in a bunch of debt. And where's he going to get the money? Everybody said that. Where's Ma'am Danny going to get the money for these programs? A lot of people said that, except the people who were mesmerized by communism, Robert De Niro, and who decided to elect him because you hate Trump. And now New York City is effed. It's absolutely effed. And people are sounding the warning bells on all kinds of things. He's cutting back on the police. He's cutting back on various task forces because he's desperately trying to get the money. He wasted a bunch of money on a free supermarket. It closed in a week. It closed in a week. He's got a housing director who wants everybody to live in a commune. You aren't going to live in a commune, you rich idiot. You would laugh. You would absolutely laugh if the woman in charge of housing called you up and said, "Oh, Mr. De Niro, you're a very rich man. Therefore, you can afford this incredibly pricey condo that you'll share with your neighbors. And you'll all live in a community. And we want to get you and other rich people to live in that community and all share." You wouldn't even give it a second thought, I bet. There'd be no way you would live in that. In your 80s, with all the money you have, how much is he worth? I gotta look it up. Because it just makes me madder when I hear about how much more De Niro. I think he's got to be like 300 million, 500 million. Yeah, $500 million. $500 million. Unreal. And with the $500 million you have, you could have tilted the election the other way, gotten him the F out of the race. You could have spent your money getting in, I don't know. The guy I would have picked was Curtis Sliwa. Curtis Sliwa, man who actually fought crime in New York, was actually a living Batman. You don't want to get him in. It's disgusting. Rio de Janeiro mayor bans Chappelle Rowan amid accusations she made daughter of Brazilian soccer star Jorginho cry. Man, they love their soccer in Brazil, don't they? There's a new movie coming out with Mark Wahlberg and Paul Walter Hauser. It's called Balls Up. And the premise is, it's a comedy. Wahlberg and Hauser accidentally make Brazil lose the World Cup. And while they're in Brazil. And now they have to escape Brazil. It actually looks pretty good. I would give it a chance. It's a good premise. It's a solid premise. Because the Brazilians love their soccer. They'll effing kill you if I could see them effing killing these dudes. Here is 10 wild clips from Afro Man's court victory over cops he mocked in songs after erroneous house raid. If you haven't been following the Afro Man story, you are living under a rock. Afro Man is the greatest champion of freedom for this week, by far. Look at him. He is glorious. Afro Man. So, I'll try to give you the short version of this. So Afro Man, I forget where he lives. Ohio. There it is right there. So he lives in Ohio. And I don't know why, but the cops decided they didn't like him. So they raided his place. And he has cameras everywhere in his place. And the cops, during the raid, disconnected his cameras. But before that, one of the cops, a fat guy, passes through his kitchen. And in his kitchen, he had a lemon pound cake. JC, the hero we needed in our time of need. Absolutely. So, the fat cop walks past the lemon cake, which was made, by the way, by his mother. So, his mother made him lemon pound cake, and he has it in his kitchen. The cop walks by, and he looks at the lemon pound cake, and he, kind of points at it and talks to one of the other cops, like, "Oh, look, this looks like good cake," or something like that. You can't hear. There's no sound on the video. So then they also go through his suit jackets looking for money because they stole like I think $400 from him during the raid. Well, they disconnect the cameras, and so Afro Man eventually, goes back at them in court and accuses the the officers of eating his lemon pound cake, and he also put it in all his songs, right? So after they raided his place, he just made a bunch of songs, and he took all the public information he could get on these guys, and man, he made songs. One of the cops was like, I think he banged a drug addict or something, and got divorced from his wife, and another song he's banging the cop's wife. Another song he called Officer Pound Cake. You got to see some of the videos. They're hilarious. JC, Afro the Bomb. Blowing up like Vietnam. I don't know why YouTube didn't like that comment. Oh, that's weird. Oh, blowing up like Vietnam. Now I get it. So, long story short, they eventually take him to court on these, or they sue him. They sue Afroman. The cops sue Afroman for putting them in these songs for libel. And the judge ruled 100% in favor of Afroman. So they wasted all their money and time, and they didn't get jack from Afroman. And I hope Afroman sues them all and gets a bunch of money, but he doesn't really need to. I think he has enough money on his own. And now he's making all kinds of money because all his songs are blowing up online. So if you want to follow one particular story and you haven't already, I highly recommend the Afroman story here. They've got 10 videos from it. Here's Lemon Pound Cake, his song. You got to see this is some of the clips from the trial and trying to argue. This one officer was arguing. The lawyer asked him, because in the song, Afroman is having sex with his wife. So he asked him, well, is your wife having an affair with Afroman? And he's like, I don't know. Like, well, he might be. I don't know. And it's such BS. It's absolutely such BS. And you got to see Afroman's testimony. It's all amazing. Every moment of this, you shouldn't miss. So, highly recommend. All right, let's wrap up with a quick peek at the New York Post. See if there's anything going on here. Out of line, what's going on here? Insane lines at New York City airport spark 3-hour wait times for flyers as shutdown chaos sparks travel nightmare. Now, Elon Musk offered to pay the salaries for TSA in order to alleviate some of this. I don't know if he can, if that's legal, or if he'll be allowed to. But I wish he would, because I know people who need to fly, and they need that. So, White House installs Christopher Columbus statue made from remains of toppled sculpture. That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. We're back, baby. We're back. I'm sure the next administration will try to have it torn down. Oops, I went too far. Okay. More illegal migrants doing terrible things. More Chappelle Rowan. Treasury Secretary suggests Trump may escalate to de-escalate Iran war as he says 50 days of higher prices will be worth it. Ooh, 50 days. That's a long time, Trump. That's another 3 weeks. JC, no, he wrote an entire album trashing all the cops, and they tried to sue him for defamation. The judge didn't like Afro. It was a jury trial. They voted in his favor. I thought the judge said it was 100% in his favor, but maybe the judge didn't like him either. More on Zendaya and Tom Holland being married. Don't care. More on Prince Andrew. Ex-Prince Andrew seen publicly for the first time since the arrest of Epstein. Ties near new home. What's going on here? Historic New York City plaza left in abysmal disrepair with destroyed pavement and defective lights, and the city knows it. JC, Judge had it out for poor old Afro. Really? That's not what I saw in the article, but I'll take your word. Oh, wait, is this Kristi Noem? Kristi Noem and Corey Landowski mocked by politicians on both sides of the aisles at DC Gridiron dinner. They were together? Oh, boy. She's going to end up with him. I could just say it. There's more on Jason Momoa escaping the storm. Savannah Guthrie could be returning to the Today Show as soon as next month. Interesting. Sports. Here's more on The Bachelorette. Shame on ABC for casting Taylor Frankie Paul on Bachelorette. They're getting what they deserve. Damn. Let's see. Let's end on this. Champagne socialist in Cuba staged concert stay in 5-star hotel as country plunges into nationwide blackout. So there's Hassan Piker in the midst. So, yeah. Looks bad. I don't even know what that is. I think that's it. Yeah, we're going to end on that. So, what have we learned today? Well, we learned, of course, Afro Man is the hero we needed. He is like Batman, only with much bigger hair. We learned that Project Hail Mary is propping up the entire box office just about. We learned that Chuck Norris had a very exciting career, very interesting career. Let me do some more. Let's end on some Chuck Norris memes. Chuck Norris doesn't dial the wrong number. You answered wrong phone. I did that one. Jedi use the Force. The Force uses Chuck Norris. I like that one. Chuck Norris died, but he's all right now. Oh, that one's kind of sad in retrospect. Let's see. Chuck Norris does not own a stove. Oh, I read that one. If rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, and paper beats rock, what beats all three at the same time? Chuck Norris. When Chuck Norris left home, he told his father, "You're the man of the house now." That's pretty good. Chuck Norris destroyed the periodic table because Chuck Norris only recognizes the element of surprise. Chuck Norris doesn't do a push-up, he pushes the world down. Chuck Norris has to sleep with the lights on because the dark is afraid of him. When the boogeyman goes to sleep, he checks under the bed for Chuck Norris. When Chuck Norris goes swimming, the sharks get out of the ocean. Clouds don't rain, they sweat when they see Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris doesn't worry about high gas prices. His vehicles run on fear. When Chuck Norris cooks, he makes the onion cry. Chuck Norris can sneeze with his eyes open. Damn. When Chuck Norris looks in a mirror, the mirror shatters because not even glass is dumb enough to get in between Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris. Ghosts tell Chuck Norris stories at the campfire. Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice. Outer space exists because it's afraid to be in the same planet with Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris beat the sun in a staring contest. Once a cobra bit Chuck Norris's leg. After 5 days of excruciating pain, the cobra died. Chuck Norris can divide by 0. Chuck Norris' calendar goes straight from March 31st to April 2nd. No one fools Chuck Norris. JC, Chuck Norris fought cancer. Cancer is a critical condition and isn't expected to survive the night. Nice. Nice. Chuck Norris can start a fire by rubbing 2 ice cubes together. If you spell Chuck Norris in Scrabble, you win. Forever. Chuck Norris can do a wheelie on a unicycle. Chuck Norris can fold a fitted sheet. When Chuck Norris makes a mistake, the mistake apologizes. Fire doesn't burn Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris burns fire. All right, I think we're getting done here. Chuck Norris doesn't need a keyboard. He tells the computer to write something, and it does. Chuck Norris has already been to Mars. That's why there are no signs of life. Chuck Norris doesn't get sunburned. That would be a foolish thing for the sun to do. There's no chin under Chuck Norris's beard. There is only another fist. And that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan, and guest dog somewhere around here. I'm going to go have a second dinner, as all us hobbits do. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. What's next week? Let me check my calendar. Yeah, next week. Looking a little too wide open, quite frankly. Hopefully next week I will be talking about Book 20 of the Pineys. Don't forget to check out my video on the historic Burlington County Prison Museum. That's fun. Good night, JEC. Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Also, what's coming up for me? I'm doing, Little Joan. Pray for Little Joan. On Tuesday, Little Joan goes for her haircut. So that's going to be... Wednesday, I'm going to Christ Care to do an event at 11 a.m. for How to Hunt the Jersey Devil. And then on Friday, I'll be back at Valenzano Winery out on 206 for my talk in the tasting room at 5:30 for How to Hunt the Jersey Devil. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.